Chapter 35. A few minutes later, the finals began. The final battle was a free-for-all, which undoubtedly increased the difficulty. It tested the strength of the participants, as well as their ability to judge the situation and adapt to the situation. The finals that everyone has been waiting for is coming. A middle-aged judge said, however, this year's competition is slightly different from the previous years. The entire audience was filled with question marks. What? Did they change the rules? The middle-aged man announced, a familiar person will be joining the 4 young geniuses, adding a new variable to the finals. This is also a test for us 4 young geniuses. Countless people cheered. This was more interesting. The outcome of the 4 young geniuses was already very uncertain. Now that there was an outsider, it undoubtedly increased the number of variables in the competition. The middle-aged man shouted, "He is the champion of the last tournament, the genius from Tiannan City. Now that he has entered the Zhongzhou Academy, within a year, he has risen to the 328th place among the tens of thousands of students in the outer courtyard, Luoyu." As soon as this was said, the crowd became excited. The champion 2 years ago was the demon Nangong Yun, and the previous champion was the genius Luoyu. Luoyu was not a simple person. He easily won the championship last time and then went to Zhongzhou. There had been no news of him, but now he was back. A white figure fell from the sky, from a height of 10 meters, straight to the center of the stage, stirring up a cloud of dust. "Luoyu! Luoyu!" The crowd began to shout. It was a young man in his early 20s, wearing a spotless white warrior's robe, making him look imposing and outstanding. There was a dragon-eagle pattern on his robe. The dragon-eagle pattern represented Zhongzhou Academy. Luoyu was indeed a student of Zhongzhou Academy. It was said that in the outer courtyard of Zhongzhou Academy, Luoyu was ranked 128. One had to know that there were 10 to 20,000 students in the outer courtyard of Zhongzhou Academy. Even in Zhongzhou City, this person was probably an extraordinary genius. Yi Xiong, Li Changyun, and Du Zhentian's faces turned ugly. Yi Xiong asked coldly, "Mayor, each person is only allowed to participate once. Luoyu was the champion last time, why is he still here?" Nangong Yi laughed bitterly and said, "Everyone, please calm down. This is not my arrangement, but the arrangement of the higher-ups. You also know that the Luo family in Zhongzhou." Yi Xiong's expressions softened a little. If this was really the case, then it really couldn't be blamed on Nangong Yi. Nangong Yi was just a trivial South Sky City's mayor, and the Nangong family didn't have much power in the Central State region. Even though Nangong Yi was a city's mayor, he was still hindered by all sides. Nangong Yi continued, "Luoyu is just an outsider. The family just wants to give him another chance to shine. The true ranking of this year's Grand Assembly would still be decided by these 4 people. The Luo family has already moved out of South Sky City. What they want is a name, they won't get involved in any conflicts of interest. That was the only way." Luoyu stood in the middle of the arena with his hands behind his back. His gaze swept across the 4 of them and he suddenly burst into laughter. "This batch of geniuses is only SOSO. It seems like South Sky City has no more talented people. Don't waste my time, all of you come at me together." Everyone's faces turned ugly. This guy was really too arrogant. He didn't even put the geniuses of South Sky City in his eyes. He actually wanted to fight 1 against 4. Yi Han, Du Feng, and Li Tiangang all revealed a trace of anger. But Luoyu's strength was indeed very strong. For someone to be able to enter the top 200 of the outer court of Zhongzhou Academy, his cultivation must have already reached the 7th body refinement realm. One-on-one, they really wouldn't be his opponent. Yi Han suddenly stood up. "I hope that before we start, we can first get rid of those small fries that don't have the qualifications to fight." Of course Luoyu knew what Yi Han was thinking. He glanced at Chu Tian and disdainfully waved his hand. "Fine, this kind of trash really doesn't deserve to fight with me. I also know that you guys have some old grudges. I'll give you 2 minutes, is that enough?" "1 minute is enough. Hey, hurry up." From the expressions and tone of the 2 people, Chu Tian was like a fish on a chopping board. Chu Tian sighed. How could there be so many idiots in this world? Yi Han's face hung a cruel and excited smile. Finally a chance. From the moment Chu Tian ordered Nan Gongyun to humiliate him, Yi Han had firmly remembered this grudge. But with Zhang Liqing, Nan Gongyun, and Xiong Tianyan backing him up, Yi Han didn't dare to go looking for trouble. But now it was different. This was the Tian-Nan Summit Meet, a gathering of tens of thousands of people. Who would dare to interfere here? Chu Tian had ruthlessly humiliated him in front of the entire street. Now he wanted to get back at him in front of the entire city. You're just a slave. A slave will always be a slave. You can never wash your name clean. Yi Han purposely raised his voice, causing everyone's expression to change. This genius who had mastered the intricate realm was actually a slave. A mere slave. How dare he be so presumptuous? A mere slave. How dare he go against Yi Han? Yi Han continued to use words to provoke Chu Tian. You may try to deny your filthy identity, but the contract is in our hands. If you don't want to admit that you're a slave, I'll admit it for you today. Chu Tian was calm. I realized that the more ignorant and incompetent a person is, the more nonsense they talk. If you want to become a genius by talking, I'm definitely not as good as you. Yi Han couldn't contain his anger. He was trying to provoke Chu Tian, to make him lose control, to make him fearful, even if it made him angry. But what? How could he be so calm? His calm eyes were filled with a trace of mockery, as if he was looking at a ridiculous monkey. In the end, the one who lost his mind was Yi Han himself. Lowly slave. Yi Han's power suddenly erupted. His robe flapped, and the surging power gathered in his arms, emitting a majestic aura. One palm strike, sweeping across all directions. 8 Desolations palm. Under the intense anger and humiliation, Yi Han unexpectedly displayed a large portion of the 8 Desolations palm's charm. Even Luo Yu's expression changed slightly. Under this terrifying aura, not to mention a weak lowly slave, even a strong martial artist like Luo Yu would be affected, and his mind would be greatly shaken. Li Changyun said in shock, Master is indeed a martial arts genius. To be able to grasp the essence of the 8 Desolations palm so quickly, I'm afraid he's already invincible among those of the same level. Yi Xiong nodded in satisfaction. Chu Tian had unintentionally helped Yi Han, allowing him to improve in his martial arts. Meng Qinggu and her sister hurriedly shouted, He's still gathering his aura. Chutan, hurry up and make your move. Or else it'll be too late. Chu Tian did not move, allowing his opponent to gather his aura and power. Could it be that he's scared out of his wits? Xiong Bing and Nangong Yi furrowed their brows. Chu Tian was most likely dead. Zhang Liqing began to gather his energy. If necessary, even if it meant breaking the rules of the competition, he would personally make his move. No matter what, Chu Tian was his savior. How are you going to block me? When Yi Han's energy was gathered to its peak, his palms carried the power of 10,000 caddies, and he attacked Chu Tian. Not to mention flesh and blood, even if he was made of iron, he would not be able to escape the fate of being crushed on the spot. Chu Tian's body emitted a white glow, and his surging energy instantly exploded. Its strength had actually reached the peak of the 6th rank of body refinement. Chu Tian had been hiding his strength all along. In these few short days, Chu Tian had relied on elixirs to greatly increase his strength. In terms of realm, he was no weaker than the 3 geniuses. It was just that he had been suppressing his aura and cultivation. Yi Han's face was ferocious. So what if you're hiding your strength? I don't believe you can take this palm of mine. Die for me. Chu Tian bent his knees and leaped up like a sharp arrow, piercing through the murderous aura that filled the air, and rushed in front of Yi Han. One leg. Only one leg. All the restraints were disintegrated. All the momentum was annihilated. With a bang, Yi Han smashed a large hole in the stone arena, and Chu Tian used one move to defeat the insufferably arrogant Yi Han. Just a moment ago, he was still full of arrogance, but in an instant he was knocked to the ground, and he didn't even know how he lost. Didn't you want to break all the bones in my body in front of everyone? Didn't you threaten to enslave me forever? Didn't you call me trash? Who's the real trash? Yi Han completely lost the ability to resist, and his face was full of fear. No matter how he thought about it, he couldn't understand why Chu Tian, a mere slave, would have such powerful battle strength. Chu Tian's fists bombarded like a violent storm, ruthlessly breaking every inch of Yi Han's bones. Didn't Yi Han want to break Chu Tian's bones one by one? In the end, the one who ended up like this was him. What kind of irony was this? This arrogant and despotic Yi Han was reduced to a human sandbag in Chu Tian's hands. Bastard! Today, I will definitely dismember your body into 10,000 pieces. Yi Xiong carried a furious aura and leaped up, releasing a terrifying force. Chu Tian laughed wildly. If I kill him, you will kill me. If I don't kill him, you will come to kill me. At least I have to drag someone down with me. You dare. Yi Xiong released an earthen yellow essence energy, and suddenly condensed into a roaring giant wolf behind him. A terrifying might filled the entire heaven and earth. Don't dare? What a joke. There is nothing I don't dare to do in this place. Yi Han felt a biting cold murderous intent and shouted in horror, No, spare my life. Chu Tian did not even think and slammed his palm on Yi Han's skull. Yi Han did not even have the chance to make a sound and was killed on the spot. Yi Xiong was so angry that he almost fainted. Although he had a lot of sons, the one he valued the most was Yi Han. Now that he was killed by Chu Tian, how could he not be furious? The earthen yellow essence energy turned into a giant palm and slammed towards the stage. An attack from an awakened soul realm cultivator. A body refinement realm cultivator did not have the ability to resist. A wild bear's roar reverberated in the air. A majestic wind snow wolf's moon origin spirit appeared. In a flash, the temperature plummeted and the wind blew. Xiong Bing's tall and sturdy body blocked Yi Xiong's way. He punched the wind palm away. Yi Xiong angrily said, Surnamed Xiong, you dare to block me. Xiong Bing laughed 3 times, Your son is a treasure, but other people's sons are not? Yi Han is cruel and tyrannical, running amok in Tiannan City. I can't stand it anymore. Li Changyun released a giant blue python source spirit. I'll help you kill the thief. President Li, we haven't fought for so many years. Let me experience your skills. Zhang Liqing released his essence energy and a mighty eagle circled in the sky. Its sharp aura filled the sky. Eagle pierces the sky. Break. The eagle swooped down. The giant python was smashed into pieces on the spot. Li Changyun's face changed. He never thought that Zhang Liqing's cultivation was higher than his. Actually, Zhang Liqing's cultivation was not low. The reason why he didn't fight for so many years was because all his essence energy was used to suppress the poison. 2 days ago, Xiong Tianyan had refined the detoxification pill, and Zhang Liqing's poison was almost completely neutralized. After Zhang Liqing's spirit power was liberated, not only did he recover all of his cultivation, he even advanced a step further. The few awakened soul cultivators were ready to fight. The situation had developed far beyond their expectations. The crowd was shocked. They had never seen this kind of scene before. The fuse for all of this was just a little Chu Tian, a nameless youth. Originally it was a fight between the younger generation, but now it was a fight between awakened soul cultivators. The situation had completely spiraled out of control. Haha, the winner has not been decided yet. After killing Yi Han with his own hands, Chu Tian ignored the pressure exerted on him by the awakened soul cultivators. His arrogant attitude was still as arrogant as ever, as if he did not know what fear was. He arrogantly shouted at Luo Yu, Du Feng, and Li Tiangang. I don't want to waste time. You 3 pieces of trash. Come at me together. It was like a resounding slap in the face. A heavy slap to his own face. Luo Yu's face was ashen. Wasn't that what he had just said? Chu Tian was facing the threat of the awakened soul cultivators. It was as if his life was hanging by a thread. In this kind of situation, if it was a normal person, they probably wouldn't even be able to stand. Not to mention the others, just the pressure of an awakened soul cultivator was not something a physique cultivator could resist. Chu Tian didn't care. He even completely ignored it. He acted as if nothing had happened and brazenly issued a challenge to the three geniuses. What a delightful debt of gratitude and revenge! How heroic and courageous he was! How hot-blooded! Like a dazzling meteor, he lit up the entire sky of Tiannan City. His tyranny, his arrogance, his viciousness, his frivolity, it was as if a clap of thunder had exploded in front of everyone. Chudian! 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 Everyone was crazily shouting this name. A once unknown, even lowly person had now swept the entire competition, looking down on all the geniuses of Tiannan City. He had brought too many surprises and surprises. This was a world where the strong were respected. Even if one's character was as bad as Yi Han's, as long as they had talent and strength, they could still win the admiration of countless people. Not to mention that Chu Tian's status was so lowly, it made the ordinary citizens feel closer and more motivated. There was no doubt. No matter the result today, this name would forever be remembered by the citizens of Tiannan City. Chapter 36. Facing the boiling atmosphere of the summit, Luo Yu clenched his fists, his face as red as a pig's liver. Damn it! This was clearly my stage. But now it's Chu Tian's one-man show. After a year of hard work at Zhongzhou Academy, he had wanted to come back to Tiannan City to expand his influence and build a foundation for his future development. Who knew that a Chu Tian would appear out of nowhere? An even more talented genius than him. This made Luo Yu mad with jealousy. This man is cruel and savage. We cannot let him live. Luo Yu said fiercely, why don't we join forces to kill him and avenge Brother Yi? But, okay. Du Feng and Li Tiangang agreed without a second thought. Of course, they did not really want to avenge Yi Han. In fact, Yi Han's death was a good thing. But Chu Tian was too scary, a genius even scarier than Nangong Yun. If they did not kill him now, when? They had to kill him. If the three of them joined forces, they could definitely take him down. I'll go first. Li Tiangang let out a loud roar as he leapt high into the air. He swept his leg horizontally from above, and his origin power transformed into a swift and fierce cyan wind from his leg. It was like a long whip, yet also like a sharp blade. It heavily lashed the ground, and the sturdy cement floor instantly cracked open. Go to hell. Li Tiangang's attack missed. His legs continued to spin in the air, sweeping like a tornado and pouring like a torrential downpour. Everywhere he passed, cement splattered, as if he had been bombarded by a cannonball. The density of his attacks was high, and the speed of his attacks was so fast that it was dazzling. The wild wind kick was as fast as the wind and as dense as the rain. It had the power to wipe out an army of 1,000. Li Tiangang suppressed him from top to bottom, while Du Feng faced the onslaught head-on. He clenched his fists and his magical energy surged, creating a spark of fire. Before his fists even arrived, the fists were already hot. Burning fist. When he saw Chu Tian's arrogant personality, Du Feng knew that he could not be controlled. Plus, he had killed the Ye family's Yi Xiong and had already made an enemy of the Ye family. If he continued to extend an olive branch, he would offend Yi Xiong. Since that was the case, why not kill him and be happy? When Du Feng and Li Tiangang attacked with all their might, Luo Yu took the opportunity to use his agile footwork to circle around to Chu Tian's back, looking for an opportunity to launch a sneak attack. Everyone couldn't help but curse. 3 people attack 1 person together. How shameless can you be? Despicable. Chu Tian relied on his Ru-Wei level keen perception and easily dodged the 2's attacks. He looked up to the sky and roared, your moves have no charm at all. With such weak strength, you dare say you can protect me in the finals? Du Feng flew into a rage out of humiliation. The wind from his fist suddenly increased in intensity as he viciously punched forward. Take my fist if you have the guts. Why not? Chu Tian's right arm glowed with white essence force, and his entire arm turned slightly red. White steam seeped out of his pores, and it was obvious that he had condensed a powerful essence force. Get lost. His fist was as fast as an arrow. Its momentum was like a spear. 1 punch to the 9 heavens. This punch to the 9 heavens was an ordinary basic martial art. However, it had been improved by countless martial arts masters over the millennia. It was very easy to master, and it had an impressive speed and impact. It was a must-have martial art for low-level practitioners. Two fists collided. A terrifying heat wave erupted, and the surrounding dust and gravel was lifted into the air, obscuring everyone's vision. All that could be heard was a scream. Du Feng had been thrown high into the air, and landed heavily a dozen meters away. His entire right arm was fractured into several pieces, and his flesh was a bloody mess. So weak. He had been defeated on the spot. Chu Tian leapt up to meet Li Tiangang, his leg piercing through the air filled with gaudy and powerless kicks. Like an unstoppable whip, it landed solidly on Li Tiangang's chest. Boom! Li Tiangang's body fell to the ground like a meteor, half of his body embedded in the arena. Who knew how many bones in his body were broken? With this little strength, you dare to claim to kill me? With this little strength, you dare to call yourselves geniuses? Chu Tian's voice was full of shock, and it struck everyone's heart. Yi Han, Du Feng, Li Tiangang. One move. Only one move. Everyone thought that the strongest geniuses of this year's competition were like chickens and dogs in front of Chu Tian. They could not withstand a single blow, and could be defeated in one move. At this time, Luo Yu took advantage of this rare opportunity. His right hand pulled out from his waist, and 3 feet of cold light bloomed. It was a shiny silver soft sword. Like a cunning poisonous snake, it viciously bit towards Chu Tian's back. Weapons are not allowed in the competition. This guy is cheating. 3 against 1 was already very unfair, and Luo Yu even pulled out a weapon. This was blatantly flouting the rules of the competition. Could this competition still be called a competition of geniuses? Storm of swords. Luo Yu poured his spirit energy into the flexible sword. The moment the flexible sword pierced out, it actually transformed into a large silver sword chi net. Even if it was a piece of iron blocking in front of it, it would still be pierced by the sword chi and be pierced hundreds of times. Chu Tian's heart skipped a beat. Every single silver sword image and every single strand of white sword chi were illusory and real. They interweaved with each other, causing them to be complicated and difficult to distinguish. It was worth training in Zhongzhou Academy for a year. His strength might even be stronger than the 3 of them combined. Hyperfocus. Chu Tian activated the hyperfocus state, and everything in the world slowed down. Even the slightest change could be clearly seen by Chu Tian. He easily saw through every single sword light, and used the swallow returns to nest of the shadow swallow steps to stop his body from moving forward. Then he suddenly retreated at high speed. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. A few sharp sword auras brushed past his body, and one of them left a wound on his chest. The wound was not deep, and was only a scratch. Luo Yu's eyes flashed with a hint of shock. He could even dodge that? Chu Tian was indeed a rare genius. But this made him even more determined to kill him. Die. Before Chu Tian could stabilize himself, a few more sharp sword auras flew towards him. Too dangerous. Luo Yu had the advantage of a higher realm. In terms of elemental energy, speed, and strength, Chu Tian could not win against him. Moreover, Luo Yu had a sharp weapon in his hand. If any sword aura hit him, Chu Tian would definitely die. You're dead. Wind-chasing stab. Luo Yu did not give Chu Tian the slightest chance to breathe. The flexible sword became straight after being infused with elemental energy. Like a meteor, it suddenly shot towards Chu Tian at an unbelievable speed. At the juncture of life and death, Chu Tian closed his eyes. Everyone was shocked. Could it be that? Chu Tian was unable to dodge, and was prepared to close his eyes and wait for death? The moment Chu Tian closed his eyes, a strange aura filled the air. It was as if he had opened up a higher level of senses. Although he could not see, he could feel everything around him. The flow of the wind, the change in the air, the fluctuation of the substance, the frequency of the energy, he could even feel the inner emotions of everyone present. Everything in the world, from spirit to substance, everything was clear in his heart. Seeing this, Nangong Yi's eyes widened in shock, as if he had seen a ghost. Mind's eye. It couldn't be wrong. This feeling was mind's eye. This was definitely the mind's eye. Mind's eye was the same as hyperfocus. It was a realm of the soul. This kind of soul had no direct relation to strength, but it had an unparalleled auxiliary effect. It was the dream of many cultivators. The mind's eye was a higher level than hyperfocus. If the entire central state could not be said to have mastered hyperfocus, then the entire kingdom could not be said to have open mind's eye. But Chu Tian did it. He was not even 18 years old. He did not even have an awakened soul realm cultivation. Tiannan City was a small place. Even if people occasionally heard of the legend of the mind's eye, they could not see it with their own eyes. Only Nangong Yi from the Nangong family could feel it. This child's future was limitless. Nangong Yi originally did not want to get involved, but the moment Chu Tian opened his mind's eye, he immediately changed his mind. No matter what, he had to protect Chu Tian. Even if he was stripped of his position as the mayor, to be able to bring back such a person for his family, it would be a great achievement. The moment Chu Tian closed his eyes, Luo Yu had a strange feeling. From the inside to the outside, from his body to his spirit, from his thoughts to his martial arts, everything was exposed in front of Chu Tian. Even the thoughts in his heart could be seen through by the opponent. What was going on? What kind of ability was this? Luo Yu was shocked, but his movements did not slow down. His sword whistled out, piercing straight towards Chu Tian. The moment Chu Tian opened his mind's eye, he had already seen through Luo Yu's entire body. His entire body was exposed, even the sword in his hand had flaws that were hard to hide. These flaws and loopholes could not be seen with the naked eye. Chu Tian gathered his spirit energy into 2 fingers on his right hand. His 2 fingers gradually turned pale gold. Just like that, he closed his eyes and waited for the sword to pierce him. Suddenly, he clamped the sword in the air. Cut. The silver soft sword was firmly clamped between the 2 golden fingers. Chu Tian gently twisted, and with a snap, the silver sword's blade was broken on the spot. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Luo Yu stared blankly at his broken sword, unable to believe this reality. At this moment, a biting cold killing intent fiercely attacked his soul. Luo Yu began to fear, he began to fear. I admit defeat. You want my life, but if you can't beat me, then admit defeat. Do you think there is such a good thing in the world? Chu Tian gently flicked his finger, and the broken sword shot out, piercing through Luo Yu's chest like a meteor. You can only blame yourself for being too useless. King. Half of the silver broken sword was deeply inserted into the stone arena, and a stream of captivating red blood flowed down. Oh no. Luo Yu clutched the left side of his chest that had been pierced, and fresh blood continuously spurted out. With a face full of unwillingness, he roared a few times, and then collapsed to the ground. One move. It was still one move. Chu Tian, facing a stronger opponent, facing an absolute disadvantage, easily broke his opponent's sword and defeated him in one move. He used an absolutely tyrannical manner to defeat his opponent. Chu Tian, Chu Tian, Chu Tian. Countless people once again crazily cheered. This was definitely a historical moment for Tiannan City. Yi Xiong and the others, even though they did not know the mind's eye, were extremely shocked by Chu Tian's methods. There had never been a junior that could make them feel such danger. This kid must die. Chapter 37. Yi Xiong condensed the power of the demon wolf source spirit and raised both of his hands high up. The surrounding gravel and dust were all gathered together by a strong gravitational force. In an instant, it turned into an incomparably sharp rock. It tore through the air and shot out at a speed that was hard to see with the naked eye towards Chu Tian. Ho! The ice snow bear source spirit released its energy. Xiong Bing stretched out his left hand and pushed forward. The cold air condensed into an ice wall. With an ear-piercing sound, the rock fiercely pierced into the ice wall. The violent impact caused a large number of cracks to appear on the ice wall, but it did not break the ice wall. It was once again blocked by Xiong Bing. Xiong Bing! Yi Xiong gnashed his teeth as he roared. Do you really think that I can't kill him? A scroll full of runes slid out from his sleeve. Yi Xiong raised his hand high up. Ho! The demon wolf source spirit seemed to feel the anger of its master. It suddenly raised its claw and slapped the scroll. The brown energy instantly turned the scroll into powder. Nangong Yi, Zhang Liqing, and Xiong Bing were all shocked. What Yi Xiong destroyed? Was it Chu Tian's spiritual contract? Yi Xiong's eyes turned red as he wildly laughed. Cheap slave. This was an era where slaves were very prevalent. A city with a population of 2 to 3 million might have as many as 2 to 300,000 slaves. Families with a little bit of status would almost all buy slaves to provide services, while poor families would take the initiative to sell their freedom in exchange for food and clothing. The reason why the slave trade was so popular, to a large extent, was because of safety. The slave owner had the slave's life sealed in the contract scroll. Once this slave contract was signed, it was almost impossible to remove. Whoever had the contract scroll would be the slave's master. Once the scroll was destroyed, the slave's spirit and soul would collapse in an instant. Even if the gods descended to the mortal world, they would not be able to reverse the situation. Yi Xiong originally wanted to torture Chu Tian to death bit by bit in order to avenge the hatred in his heart. Who knew that Xiong Bing would stop him, making it impossible for him to succeed? Since that was the case, then he would directly destroy the contract. He wanted to see Chu Tian's spirit and soul crumble bit by bit, letting him wail in pain until he died in front of everyone. So what if he was gifted? So what if he was extremely talented? You will always be a lowly slave. He had humiliated the Ye family and killed their eldest son. This enmity was irreconcilable. Everyone stared blankly at the arena. 1 second, 2 seconds, 10 seconds passed. Chu Tian was still standing there, swaggering. Yi Xiong was both shocked and furious. What was going on? Why wasn't he dead yet? You didn't expect this, did you, old dog Yi? Chu Tian didn't look pained at all. Instead, he shouted even more arrogantly, "The Ye family turtles only have these despicable tricks left, but what can they do to me?" His spirit had been destroyed. How could he still be alive? This was impossible. Du Zhentian couldn't stand it anymore. The threat of Chu Tian was too great. If he wasn't eliminated as soon as possible, South Sky City would have a new power in the future. Perhaps even the Du family wouldn't be able to avoid being attacked. Although the Du family didn't have any grudges with Chu Tian, to be able to suppress a potential threat, it was worth it. Scoundrel, I'll help you. Du Zhentian's source spirit was released. His source spirit was different from the others. It was a jet black double-edged giant axe that contained a wild, destructive aura. Du Zhentian's hands grasped the air, holding the black giant axe that was in an illusory state. He raised it up high and heavily chopped down on the stage. Chop! Chu Tian dodged to the side. A black axe flew across the sky and chopped down on the same spot. It destroyed the arena and created a long crack. Such a terrifying destructive power. Yi Xiong, Li Changyun, and Du Zhentian, these three awakened soul realm experts all made a move at the same time. Just Zhang Liqing and Xiong Bing wouldn't be able to hold them back. Chu Tian's situation was very dangerous. Meng Qingwu and Meng Yinging saw this scene from afar and immediately became anxious. Chu Tian was risking his life. Wasn't it all for the company? If they knew the situation would be so dangerous, they would rather not let Chu Tian be in the limelight. They would rather prevent him from entering these muddy waters. But it was too late to say anything now. What should they do? Enough. The entire square shook. An incomparably hot aura suddenly burst forth. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. The rolling sound waves made people's eardrums hurt. Do you still put me, the mayor, in your eyes? A terrifying pressure came from the earth. Red fire elemental energy soared into the sky, and an incomparably hot aura enveloped the entire area. Finally, it condensed into a giant origin soul. That origin soul looked like a volcano, and boiling hot lava was constantly spewing out, and it was surrounded by a pungent and glaring poison fog. Mayor Nangong Yi made his move. It was unexpectedly the volcano source spirit. A volcano represented the power of the earth. A volcano represented the power of nature. A sufficiently strong volcano eruption was enough to cover the entire world. It was enough to destroy all living things. It was enough to destroy an entire country. A martial artist's source spirit represented a martial artist's strength and potential. The volcano's awakening was earth-shattering. It was like a terrifying calamity was descending upon South Sky City. It made everyone's heart tremble with fear. The Nangong family all had fire-attributed source spirits. The matter of Nangong Yun awakening the god-level fire phoenix source spirit was famous throughout the entire central state. Ever since Nangong Yi became the mayor, he had been cautious and cautious. No one had seen him make a move, so they did not know Nangong Yi's true strength. They even thought that Nangong Yi was weak and incompetent. The volcano source spirit was inferior to his daughter's fire phoenix, but it was still a source spirit that contained an incomparable destructive power. If it could be cultivated to its peak state, it would not be inferior to those god-level source spirits. The power of the volcano. It was still brewing. Once this power was released, among experts of the same level, there would be no one who could match him. From Nangong Yi's aura, his strength was far above everyone else's. Even if these awakened soul cultivators attacked together, they might not be able to win. Was this the mayor's true strength? Was this the background of one of the three great families, the Nangong family? Nangong Yi changed his usual modest and refined manner and used an overbearing and unquestionable rebuke. Yi Xiong, you're being presumptuous. Every year in the South Sky City Great Assembly, casualties are unavoidable. Could it be that only your son is allowed to kill others and others are not allowed to touch your son? The volcano source spirit began to tremble. The lava within seemed to have been brewed to the point of eruption. The terrifying temperature and pressure made it hard for the people in the square to breathe. Nangong Yi said word by word, whoever dares to mess around, don't blame this mayor for being cold-blooded. Too strong. They could not resist at all. Yi Xiong, Li Changyun, and Du Zhentian's faces were filled with unwillingness, but they had no other choice. In this world, strength reigned supreme. Whoever was strong would be the heavens. The three of them bitterly looked at Chu Tian and stiffly apologized to the mayor. They all withdrew their hands and sat back in their seats. Nangong Yi had made it clear that he wanted to protect Chu Tian. Like this, Chu Tian's life in South Sky City would not be in danger. At least as long as Nangong Yi was the mayor, the three of them would not dare to touch Chu Tian. They were really not willing. But why did the mayor suddenly become so unyielding? Yi Xiong and Du Zhentian's faces were gloomy. Finally they angrily shouted, "Let's go!" The two family heads immediately left the table in protest, taking away the people who were participating in the Great Assembly. Nangong Yi withdrew the volcano's power to protect Chu Tian. He had clearly offended the two of them. Since he had already done it, he did not care too much. With a deep voice, he solemnly announced, "This South Sky City's #1 genius. I think everyone has already expected it to be Chu Tian." Chu Tian! Chu Tian! Everyone crazily shouted. Their blood was boiling for Chu Tian's rise. They were extremely excited for the mayor's strength. South Sky City was a normal city under the rule of Central State, but it had such a strong power. The rise of prosperity was just around the corner. Nangong Yi continued, "According to my South Sky City's tradition, if Chu Tian obtains first place in the Great Assembly, the family or power that he belongs to will receive a year of tax exemption from South Sky City. At the same time, they will receive resources from the forest and mine. In addition, they will also receive the opportunity to be the first to speak at the summit." As soon as these words were said, the surrounding shouts suddenly quieted down. Wasn't the power that Chu Tian represented the Southern Cloud commerce? A dying, tottering commerce, what kind of sensational speech could it make? Everyone suddenly became depressed. The atmosphere of the summit had been heated up by Chu Tian. Could it be that it would end badly because of this? Under Nangong Yi's guidance, Chu Tian walked across the long red carpet and slowly walked to the center of the hall. The Great Assembly of Geniuses had already come to an end. Now it was time for the summit's main event. The military, political, and business elites began to announce the end-of-the-year summary and the new strategy for the coming year. When Chu Tian stepped onto the luxurious center of the hall and faced the sea of people, he did not have any stage fright. he loudly announced, "Today, I will not speak for anyone else, because I will only speak for myself." Chu Tian continued, "In front of the mayor, in front of all the citizens of South Sky City, I will solemnly announce a major event. That is, the kingdom's greatest commerce. Miracle Commerce will be officially established today." Miracle Commerce? Never heard of it. Everyone was silent. What exactly was going on? This guy was too arrogant and conceited. He actually dared to say that his commerce was the kingdom's greatest commerce. Conceited? Hey. Chu Tian was an honest person. When he said these words, he really went against his conscience. He originally wanted to announce that miracle commerce would become the continent's greatest commerce, even the world's. Chu Tian did not care about the people's suspicions and discussions. He continued to loudly shout, "Before miracle commerce officially makes its debut, I want to grandly introduce its two subsidiary commerce." The commerce had just been established, and he actually wanted to establish two subsidiary commerce? Chu Tian loudly announced, "First, Southern Cloud Talisman Technology Commerce. Chairman Meng Qingwu, Chief Talisman Consultant Zhang Liqing, Chief Alchemist Consultant Xiong Tianyan." Boom. The crowd was boiling. What was going on? Wasn't this Southern Cloud Commerce? A new commerce had directly swallowed up the old one. What made people even more surprised was that Zhang Liqing and Xiong Tianyan, the two famous talisman masters and alchemists in South Sky City, had actually publicly joined the tottering Southern Cloud Commerce. Chu Tian continued to loudly announce, "Second, Miracle Magic Food and Beverage Management Company, Limited Chairman Meng Yingying and Vice Chairman Nangong Yun." Nangong Yi and Xiong Bing were stunned for a few seconds. When they saw Xiong Tianyan, Nangong Yun, Meng Yingying, Meng Qingwu, and Zhang Liqing, they all walked onto the stage and stood behind Chu Tian. Only then did the two regain their senses. This was like a dream. Chu Tian did not give the crowd any time to breathe. Everyone must be very curious. What is miracle commerce? Today, I invite the Vice Chairman and Chairman of Southern Cloud Commerce, Meng Qingwu, to show everyone a few products. Chu Tian took the initiative to retreat. He secretly winked at Meng Yingying as if saying, "How was it? Brother's performance was not bad, right?" Meng Yingying's black eyes suddenly flashed, the corners of her mouth curved into a happy arc. She secretly gave him a thumbs up, expressing her satisfaction and praise. Meng Qingwu slowly walked onto the stage. She changed into a snow-white robe, fully outlining her perfect figure. She was dignified and beautiful, with a noble temperament, worthy of the title of Tiannan's #1 beauty. Meng Qingwu had been in charge of Southern Cloud Commerce for 6 years. Naturally, she had seen many big and small events, but she had never been as nervous as today. Time was too rushed. From the time Chu Tian proposed the establishment of the commerce to today's official announcement, only 10 days had passed. Even if Meng Qingwu prepared day and night, it was still too rushed. The complete production line had not been completely set up. However, a few products had already been produced. At the very least, it would not be a problem to deal with today's summit. Meng Qingwu thought of this and her confidence increased. At this time, several Southern Cloud Commerce employees were carefully carrying a huge object onto the stage. It was at least 2 feet tall, and it was completely covered by a black cloth. What was this? Everyone's curiosity was aroused. Chapter 38. Meng Qingwu was a capable and efficient person. Therefore, she didn't beat around the bush and went straight to the point. "Hello everyone, I am the Vice President of Miracle Commerce. Miracle Commerce is a chamber of commerce that is good at creating miracles. Every new product of ours will subvert old traditions and trends. Next, I would like to invite everyone to witness one of the latest research results of Miracle Commerce. It will be a great invention. It can bring light to the world. It can illuminate human civilization. Its appearance will definitely be recorded in the history of human civilization." That magnetic voice had a bewitching power. It made everyone at the scene infatuated. At the same time, it aroused everyone's curiosity. What could it be? Meng Qingwu dared to give such a high evaluation of herself. It could even be recorded in the history of human civilization. Was it really that exaggerated? Chu Tian nodded with satisfaction. The young miss was indeed the young Mississippi. Her eloquence did not lose to his. When she boasted, it made people feel comfortable all over and pleased to the eye. This is a gift from Miracle Commerce for the summit. The Miracle Tree. When Meng Qingwu said this, she personally walked to the front of the tightly wrapped black cloth. She suddenly grabbed the black cloth and forcefully lifted it. A huge object suddenly appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Wow! Oh my God! What is this? Its appearance was that of a tree. It was about 6 meters tall. Most of it was made of crystal clear glass. There were pear-shaped glass balls hanging on it. At this moment, every small glass ball was blooming with bright light. Red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, and purple. The colors were all different. It was dazzling. What kind of treasure was this? In fact, the Chamber of Commerce spent 10 days to produce this. A total of more than 600 electric lamps of different sizes were used. The purpose was to create a gimmick at the summit and leave a deep impression. Miracle Commerce had just started. It was not perfect in all aspects. The manufacturing level and output were pitifully low. This so-called miracle tree was just a pile of crudely made things in Chu Tian's eyes. However, for people who had never seen electric lights before, the visual effect of so many colorful electric lights hanging together was very, very shocking. Meng Qingwu was also overwhelmed with emotions. Over the years, he had painstakingly defended his family business. Not to mention advancing, as long as it was not destroyed by the enemy, it was already a great blessing. He had never dared to hope for such a glorious future. This is not my ability. What I can do is to firmly grasp the opportunity, display the value that a president should have, and run the Chamber of Commerce well. Only then can I not let down that guy's efforts. As Meng Qingwu thought of this, her conviction became firmer. Her back was perfectly straight as she stood beside the radiant miracle tree. She was like a goddess shrouded in 7-colored rays of light, beautiful beyond compare. The miraculous miracle tree may be amazing, but it is not a treasure that can only be found by luck. In fact, it was just a combination of a pile of glass, copper, and other cheap materials. Not to mention the Lord sitting here, even an ordinary citizen has the ability to own one. Really? Was this thing really that cheap? Meng Qingwu hung a proud smile on her face. Whether it is the farmer by the field or the street vendor, or the rich merchants and high officials sitting here, it is human nature to yearn for the light. Reading, learning, entertainment, banquets, research, our lives, all of our actions, are inseparable from the light. Therefore, the light is the ladder that guides human civilization. Only under the light can we learn and progress, can we open up civilization. Everyone was puzzled by his words. What did these principles have to do with the miracle tree? They heard Meng Qingwu continue to say, however, to the children of poor families, the light is an incomparably extravagant thing. Candles, oil lamps, relying on the sparkling light to explore. Taking our Tiannan city as an example, when night falls, 80% of the city is plunged into darkness. Most people close their doors and do not go out, which greatly affects their nightlife. If the streets and alleys of Tiannan city are filled with light, if the bars and dance halls of Tiannan city are brightly lit, if every house in Tiannan city is illuminated, we can imagine how prosperous and interesting this city will become. Miracle Commerce's goal is to illuminate the entire city within half a year. Illuminate the entire city. Such big words. The continent's most stable illumination tool is the crystal lamp, but the price of the crystal lamp is extremely expensive. The daily consumption is a large number. Only the rich and powerful would dare to use it. How could she dare to say something like illuminating the entire city? At this time, Meng Qingwu gently picked up a light bulb and held it high in her palm. Now, I will grandly introduce to everyone, this is the product that Miracle Commerce will release, electric light. Electric light? The entire audience was filled with question marks. Meng Qingwu introduced, this is a brand new illumination tool. It is safer and more convenient than candles and oil lamps. It is also more stable and cheaper than crystal lamps. Moreover, the difficulty of production is not high. I believe that electric light will cover the streets and alleys of Tiannan City. The light of the electric light will illuminate thousands of homes. Its appearance will be a milestone. Tens of thousands of people became excited. If it was really like this, it really was a great invention. The main illumination tools on the continent are oil lamps and candles. As for crystal lamps, they are made from a kind of light-attributed crystal. Through the light-attributed crystal, it emits light element, so it can produce a strong enough light. The price of crystal is very expensive because it contains too much energy. It often produces light radiation that can harm the human body. If the quality of the crystal is not pure enough, it can explode and injure people if it is used for a long time. Electric light is far more convenient than oil lamps and candles. Its price is also 1% of crystal lamps. Once this kind of thing comes out, it will definitely be crazily sought after by the market. Meng Qingwu continued, when people move around at night, they can't help but use mobile illumination tools. Currently, the main mobile illumination tools are lanterns, torches, and biological lamps. Lanterns are only suitable for cities. When mercenaries and armies go out into the wild, they mainly use torches and biological lamps. However, it is clear that these mobile illumination tools have a big flaw. Lanterns, torches, and biological lamps like the sunlight pumpkin, these lighting tools have a very obvious flaw. They can't be turned on or off at will. The light will scatter and concentrate, affecting the range of illumination. It is easy to attract demon beasts in the wild, causing danger to oneself. Therefore, we urgently need a new type of mobile illumination tool that is easy to carry, has a long range, has a stable light source, can be switched on and off at will, and is cheap to replace the traditional mobile illumination tools. Everyone's curiosity had been fully aroused. Meng Qingwu did not keep them in suspense. She gently clapped her hands and a member of the company placed a black cylinder in Meng Qingwu's hands. The black cylinder was 20 centimeters long and was wrapped in a thin metal. It was just enough to be held in one hand. Meng Qingwu raised the cylinder. What everyone is looking at right now is a portable lamp made by Miracle Commerce. It is also one of the main products that we will soon sell. We will call it the Source Energy Flashlight. Saying this, she poured spirit energy into it. The Source Energy array lit up and a strong light shot out from the front of the cylinder. It was like a pillar of light that swept across everyone. Meng Qingwu introduced it. The flashlight uses spirit energy to produce light. The strength of the light is controlled by the strength of the spirit energy. It can be switched on and off at will, making it very convenient. It is not hard to foresee that this kind of equipment will be widely used by mercenaries and armies. It will become an important tactical equipment for mercenaries and armies when they travel at night. It will be a great help for traveling through forests, exploring caves, traveling at night, mining, and so on. Good stuff. Xiong Bing excitedly shouted as he stood up. I'll order 1,000 flashlights. I'll order 500 flashlights. I'll order 200. Miracle Commerce did not have enough production. Meng Qingwu currently only had one flashlight. How could she have the ability to deal with thousands of orders? This amount of money could not be earned for now. Miracle Commerce's lamps are still being developed and designed. Other than the Source Energy flashlights, we will also introduce household and public lamps. Meng Qingwu continued to introduce lamps and street lamps. Then she continued to say, we will be able to open reservations at the end of the month. If you are interested in Miracle Commerce's electric lamps, please keep an eye on Miracle Commerce's latest news. This made everyone feel excited. When everyone heard this, they all felt it was very fresh. Because in the previous Tiannan summits, when merchants announced their products, it was always pills and talismans. There had never been such a rare thing. Nangong Yi could deeply feel the prospects of the electric lamps. He was not clear on the situation in other parts of the continent, but the kingdom did not have a stable and cheap lighting tool that could compare to the electric lamps. If the electric lamps were to be mass-produced, they would sell well in the kingdom and the profit margin would be very large. This truly was a thing with great prospects. Because of time constraints, the introduction of the electric lamps will end here. If you want to know more, you are welcome to come to Miracle Commerce. We will now introduce another invention that also has a historical significance. It can completely change people's lives and improve the quality of our lives. It is the source energy pot. Source energy pot? Could it be? Nangong-yi stared at the two girls walking on stage. One was cute, pure, and beautiful, around 16 years old. The other was sexy, bold, and unrestrained, around 19 years old. Weren't these Meng Yingying and Nangong-yun? Meng Yingying and Nangong-yun were very nervous. There was no need to mention Meng Yingying. She was a person who had never seen the world. Facing over 10,000 people at the same time, being able to walk was already not bad. Nangong-yun didn't look at how carefree she was, as if she wasn't afraid of the heavens or earth. But in this kind of situation, her heart was beating like a drum. Meng Qingwu warmly smiled at the two of them. These are the two chairmen of Miracle Commerce. Let's invite them to talk about the magical effects of the source energy pot. Meng Yingying swallowed her saliva with difficulty. Chu Tian was looking at her from behind. Today Chu Tian and her elder sister's performance was very good. She couldn't let them down. Therefore she gritted her teeth and stood up. Papa. The audience burst into thunderous applause. Meng Yingying almost fainted from nervousness. She had thought of a lot of beautiful opening remarks, but she completely forgot them. She stammered out a few words. That source energy pot is used to make delicious food. I believe everyone will not be disappointed. Nangong-yun quickly added, Right, I've prepared a lot of delicious food. It won't be convincing no matter how much I talk about it. I'll let everyone taste it for free. Everyone stared at each other. Finished speaking? But there was no introduction at all. Nangong-yun quickly waved her hand and 300 members of the company came out with plates. Each plate was filled with delicious meat, filling the room with a tempting fragrance. What? This is demon beast meat. Can I eat another piece? I've never eaten such delicious demon beast meat before. Meng Yingying and Nangong-yun saw everyone's reactions and immediately smiled at each other. Their nervous moods calmed down a lot and they became a bit more confident. Nangong-yun's courage was quite big. When she saw the food being welcomed by everyone, she immediately became full of confidence. Dad has always looked down on me. Everyone in the city thinks I'm a witch that only knows how to cause trouble. This time, I finally managed to ask Chu Tian to bring me along. I have to perform well. I can't let others look down on me, especially that hateful dad. It's just like what everyone has experienced. Nangong-yun stood up and introduced, the source energy pot is a magical invention that uses a source energy array to cook demon beast meat. It is easy to operate and very convenient. Once this invention becomes popular, demon beast meat and herbs will become delicacies for humans. I think this will be a revolutionary innovation for the continent's food and beverage industry. Nangong-yun's thoughts became smoother and smoother as she continued to introduce the source energy pot's functions. Not only can it fully develop the demon beast meat's nutrients, it can also provide a wonderful food experience. The most important thing is that it is convenient and safe. The source energy pot will definitely change people's lives. This is the great invention of Miracle Commerce. Meng Qingwu wanted to light up the entire city in half a year and even the entire kingdom. Nangong-yun announced that she wanted to change the entire continent's food and beverage habits. Miracle Commerce, this was truly bold. Meng Yingying quickly added, Everyone please pay attention, in around 2 days, the world's first source energy cooking restaurant will open. Not only will you be able to cultivate, but you will also be able to enjoy delicious food. We welcome everyone to come. Inserting advertisements was very important. Chu Tian's performance in the conference and the sensation caused by Miracle Commerce. The electric lamp and the source energy pot, these two successful products were enough to push Miracle Commerce to the forefront. They believed that on the day of the restaurant's opening, their popularity would definitely explode. Chapter 39. Miracle Commerce only had these two products? If you think that way, then you are gravely mistaken. Meng Qingwu stood in the spacious hall, facing the attention of the crowd. She calmly said, The appearance of these two inventions will undoubtedly greatly improve the quality and efficiency of people's lives. It will also be enough to create a rich and powerful large-scale commerce. But the ideals of miracle commerce are not limited to this. We have even higher goals and dreams. That magnetic voice was comparable to the sirens of the mysterious straits. It had a kind of irresistible charm, causing one's heart to be enchanted, unconsciously immersing themselves in it. Miracle commerce is an enterprise that aims to promote the prosperity of the human race. Meng Qingwu's voice rose. Her tone was crisp and clear, like a sharp knife cutting through ice, causing one's body to tremble. We hope to rely on our own efforts to make the human race immortal on this piece of land, to make the human race glorious forever on this piece of land, to make us create the greatest civilization in history. We hope to create a commerce that will be remembered by history. The entire audience was shocked. For a woman to say such words, what kind of boldness did she have? The human race was not the only race on the continent. It was not necessarily the strongest race, but it was still a top-tier race. The human race population was more than 100 billion, the human territory was vast and boundless, and the human empires were scattered everywhere. This, southern Xia, was only a small kingdom with a population of 1 to 200 million. A true top-tier existence would not even bother to take a piss in such a small place. A prefecture under the governance of a small kingdom, or to be more precise, a small merchant guild in a small city under a prefecture, actually wanted to strengthen the race as its goal. It was too idealistic. Meng Qingwu's cheeks were boiling hot. This was all taught by this fellow. This boast was definitely too big, but since there was no tax to pay for boasting and it was not against the law, then she might as well boast to death. A new commerce had just been established. It needed a lot of attention. It would not be wrong if she did not shock people to death, shouting the slogan loud and clear. It would not be wrong. Meng Qingwu was not a simple person. Although it was hard for her to say it, she still raised her passion and shouted loudly. Miracle commerce was born to create miracles. Miracle commerce was born to change the entire world. Miracle commerce will not be proud of a small achievement in a small field. This is only the beginning. Pa. The audience applauded. Meng Qingwu saw that the atmosphere was just right, so she immediately returned to the main topic. Nanyun Commerce is one of the chambers of commerce that is on board the miracle ship. It is fully responsible for the research, production and sales of talismans and medicines. Today, I invite everyone to witness the brand new appearance of Nanyun Commerce. Talisman crafting and alchemy were undoubtedly one of the most profitable industries. Because it was very profitable, the competition was fierce. There were dozens of companies in Tiannan City, so it was not easy to lose them. Didn't Nanyun Commerce suffer because of this, fall apart, fall into debt, and finally fall to the point where they had to sell their buttocks? Meng Qingwu brought a chamber of commerce that was about to go bankrupt to the summit. Didn't she feel that it was degrading? Miracle Commerce announces to everyone the latest talisman pill research results. Meng Qingwu moved her body slightly to the side, making an inviting gesture. Southern Cloud Commerce's chief talisman crafting consultant Zhang Liqing, and Southern Cloud Commerce's chief alchemy consultant Xiong Tianyan. His words reminded everyone present of what had happened. Zhang Liqing, Xiong Tianyan, these two represented Tiannan City's top-level talisman crafting and alchemy, and now they had openly joined Nanyun Commerce. Who dared to say that Nanyun Commerce was about to go bankrupt? Who dared to say that Nanyun Commerce was so poor that they had to sell their buttocks? Even if there was no mother company with a bright future, Zhang Liqing and Xiong Tianyan were enough to support Tiannan City's top alchemy and talisman crafting company. How many talisman blueprints did Zhang Liqing have? How many alchemy recipes did Xiong Tianyan have? Zhang Liqing was the president of the Talisman Guild. How many connections did he have? Xiong Tianyan was an elder of the Alchemist Guild, as well as one of the bosses behind Tiannan City's alchemy market. How many resources did he have? Under the strong alliance, not to mention Nanyun Commerce's background, even if it was a naked chamber of commerce, it could still become a powerful existence in Tiannan City. Zhang Liqing slowly walked onto the stage. This old man, who used to wear a plain gray robe, looked skinny and haggard, was now wearing a very formal robe. His face was ruddy, his spirit was hale and hearty, as if he was 10 years younger. Master Zhang! Master Zhang! Master Zhang! Countless people excitedly cheered. Zhang Liqing's position in Tianan City was very high. He was the idol of countless young people. Zhang Liqing revealed a gentle smile, both hands placating the boiling crowd. After everyone calmed down, he slowly spoke with a slightly hoarse voice. Although his tone was low, it was clear and powerful. First of all, to be able to stand here, I want to thank Miracle Commerce. I am officially indebted to the President's care, allowing this old and useless body of mine to stand up again, to play a small role. To let this old man whose body is half buried in the soil, obtain a new opportunity and development. Thank you, Miracle Commerce. Thank you, President. He suddenly turned his head and solemnly bowed to Chu Tian and the others. Too crazy. Too shocking. This was an awakened soul cultivator. This was a talisman master. To be able to do this, it really made people admire him. Zhang Liqing continued to say, to tell the truth, I am already very old, so old that I can't keep up with the times. What the future will be like, I may not be able to see it. But I will do my best, adding bricks and tiles to Miracle Commerce, using my life's knowledge to make a final contribution to the kingdom. The audience burst into a wave of applause. Look at him, the demeanor of a scholar, really too humble. A master belittling himself to elevate the company. Just this point was enough to make the headlines of tomorrow's newspapers. At this time, several members of the Talisman Master Guild, holding an incomparably large scroll, walked onto the stage. In front of countless people, they slowly unfolded the scroll. A complex and exquisite, like a piece of art, perfectly presented itself in front of everyone. Was this a talisman design? It was simply like an art. Nangongyi, Xiangbing's eyes stared straight. This is the new talisman design that this old man has painstakingly researched for 2 years. Finally, with the help of Miracle Commerce, this level 1 talisman, Rock Skin, is exclusively produced and sold by Southern Cloud Commerce. This will be the most outstanding level 1 talisman in Central State, or even the kingdom, in the past 10 years. This rock skin talisman is very easy to control. There are no side effects. It can make one's skin as hard as rock, easily resist fire, reduce attacks, slashes, and damage from long and short-range weapons. This is a very practical talisman. I believe that in the talisman market, it will definitely be able to occupy a place. Zhang Liqing began to speak eloquently, from academic to practical. He introduced the rock skin from different angles. This made everyone shocked. This really was a wonderful design. Its effect and technology was many years ahead of its time. Southern Cloud Commerce had not been able to expand for many years. One reason was because they were being suppressed by their competitors, but the main reason was because their talisman products were too outdated. Talismans were a kind of thing that changed very quickly. Even if it was the same type, or even the same type of talisman, every year there would be a new improved version. The appearance of a new improved version meant that the old version would be eliminated from the market. Southern Cloud Commerce did not have a powerful talisman master. They did not have enough funds to introduce new designs. They mainly focused on traditional talismans that were difficult to improve, conforming to the norm. Without any special features, they lacked competitiveness. But now it was different. The rock skin talisman was unique to Southern Cloud Commerce. It was also many years ahead of time, making it impossible for other commerce to imitate it, let alone surpass it. This meant that Southern Cloud Commerce had a fist-level product, completely changing the passive-defensive situation. They had the ability and qualifications to launch a fierce counterattack against opponents like Wolf Fong Commerce. Zhang Liqing finished announcing the new talisman product. Xiong Tianyan immediately walked out. Friends, fellow citizens, hello everyone. I am Xiong Tianyan of the Alchemist Association. I am currently the chief pharmaceutical consultant of Southern Cloud Commerce. Xiong Tianyan's reputation could not compare to Zhang Liqing's. But this person's potential was extremely strong. Xiong Tianyan was only 30-something years old. He had already achieved very impressive results in the field of alchemy. His strength was also extremely tyrannical. Given time, his future was limitless. I am a rough person, I don't really know how to speak. Xiong Tianyan's loud and clear voice reverberated throughout the hall. I only want to say one thing, Miracle Commerce is definitely a great organization. I did not choose Miracle Commerce. I still do not have the qualifications. It was Miracle Commerce that chose me. For this, I am deeply honored, but also feel heavy pressure, because my ability is not enough to bear this glory. Xiong Bing's face was filled with astonishment. When did this guy become so humble? This was impossible. How could Xiong Bing not understand his own little brother? This guy's personality was like a barrel of gunpowder, and he was also quite arrogant. These kinds of words should not come out of his mouth. Xiong Tianyan continued to announce in a clear voice, "Let's cut the nonsense. I will announce Nanyun Commerce's new type of pills. Nanyun Commerce will release 2 new types of pills. They are the Crimson Lotus Pill and the Training Chi Pill." The Crimson Lotus Pill was a rare emergency medicine. The Training Chi Pill was a rare and priceless elixir. Chu Tian did not take out other pills and talismans, mainly because Tiannan City was barren, special talisman and alchemy materials could not be found, so he did not know what kind of talisman could be made and what kind of pills could be refined. Secondly, the 2 big industries, talisman and alchemy, had already formed a very mature market. The cake had basically been divided up by everyone. Nanyun Commerce's sudden rise would definitely take away other people's cake. As the saying goes, cutting off one's path to wealth is like killing one's parents. Before the commerce's strength was strong enough, if their performance was too eye-catching, to the point of not giving other commerce a chance to survive, then the consequences would be hard to say. Even a rabbit would bite when cornered, not to mention these old foxes. First releasing 2 or 3 products, not only could they increase Nanyun Commerce's reputation, but they would also not force the other forces into a dead end. Once Miracle Commerce had a firm foothold, they would slowly nibble away bit by bit, using the method of boiling a frog in warm water, breaking down the other commerce's resistance. When they came back to their senses, it would already be too late. My God! Is this true? Even the worst trash can use the Training Chi Pill to become a body refinement cultivator? The side effects of the Crimson Lotus Pill are really this light? Our mercenary group must buy a large batch. The products released by Nanyun Commerce also caused a sensation at the summit. At this point, Tiannan Summit meeting became a one-man show for Miracle Commerce. Layer after layer of shock. Layer after layer of climax. The atmosphere of the entire summit was pushed to the peak. No one noticed, in a corner, a sinister middle-aged man was hiding. A black robe tightly wrapped around his body, a gloomy hood covered his entire face. It was Yi Xiong himself. Yi Xiong pretended to leave the guild, but in reality he had secretly come back to investigate. With one look, his heart was filled with fear. The existence of Miracle Commerce threatened the position of Wolf Fong Commerce, and even threatened the entire mercenary group, and even the Ye family's position. Yi Xiong was very clear on Meng Qingwu's ability. She had external talent, was good at strategizing, good at management, but lacked internal talent. It was impossible for her to invent electric lights, magic pots, not to mention talismans and pills. Could it also be Chu Tian? It was becoming more and more difficult to see through him. Yi Xiong's gaze was like a wolf hiding in the forest, flashing an extremely dangerous light. Countless thoughts flashed through his mind. Poison? Assassination? No matter what, he had to get rid of him as soon as possible. Nangong Yi was a very troublesome fellow. Directly killing him would not be easy. It is impossible for a person to appear out of thin air. Yi Xiong pondered for a moment, then ordered the people beside him, "Let all the intelligence departments investigate Chu Tian. I want to know his exact origin. Birth, origin, experience, what relatives he has, where he has lived. Within 2 days, you must find out everything for me." Miracle Commerce's speech had already ended. Yi Xiong was also not interested in watching anymore, only leaving behind a black cloaked figure. He silently walked into the dark corridor. Chapter 40. In the middle of the night, the Meng clan was brightly lit and the table was filled with sumptuous food and wine. Everyone did well. For the commerce. Cheers. Chu Tian, Meng Qingwu, Meng Yingying, Nangong Yun, Xiong Yan, Zhang Liqing, men and women, young and old, all raised their cups in celebration. Zhang Liqing sat among them. He was undoubtedly an exception. A noble scholar with clean sleeves, he was someone who disdained to engage in commercial activities to avoid being tainted by the stench of money and tarnishing his reputation. But this time, he did not hesitate to openly join Nanyun commerce. Why was he an exception? Was it to repay the kindness of saving his life? No, perhaps there was this reason, but it was not the main reason. Zhang Liqing's vision was extremely accurate. He had already keenly discovered that there was something different about Chu Tian. It was a kind of ambition, it was a kind of fantasy, it was a kind of spirit, it was a kind of stubbornness. Under the youthful appearance, there was an outstanding and advanced heart beating. Under the frivolous personality, there was a deep and intelligent soul. The moment the miracle ship set sail, it was destined not to be a plaything. It was filled with ideals, ambitions, and feelings. But what kind of mentality did Chu Tian have when he created it? Just how far could the ship go? It really made people look forward to it. Zhang Liqing was already over 70 years old. He had already reached the twilight years of his life, but he had never felt so young before. The newly born miracle commerce was facing a dangerous situation. It was also the time when he was needed the most. If he retreated this time, he was afraid that he would regret it for the rest of his life. The summit meeting went through several twists and turns, but in the end, it ended perfectly. The first step in our success is all thanks to you. Meng Qingwu personally gave a toast to Chu Tian. On behalf of all the partners, I will first give you a toast. Young miss is too polite. If you say it like this, I will become arrogant. Chu Tian happily said, actually, it is not all my credit. At most it is 99%. Everyone burst into laughter. This fellow really didn't know what modesty was. Meng Yingying took a sip of red wine and stared at Chu Tian with her black eyes. There was a hint of a smile at the corner of her mouth. This guy is a little bad, a little arrogant, and a little frivolous. But with him by my side, it seems that nothing is difficult. As long as he was by her side, she felt very safe. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 dishes, everyone enjoyed themselves to the fullest. Meng Qingwu wasn't paralyzed by alcohol. Her mind was clear as she said, everyone, the smooth birth of the Chamber of Commerce is certainly worth celebrating, but this is only the first step. We must not be careless. Now, I will talk a little about a few problems that need to be solved. First, the factory that produces electric lights is not complete yet. Secondly, the restaurant is still in preparation and needs to open as soon as possible. Thirdly, the structure of our Chamber of Commerce is in a mess. From the management to the production line, we lack manpower, money, and materials. There's almost nothing we don't lack. We need to solve this problem as soon as possible. Meng Qingwu's words. Everyone calmed down. The Chamber of Commerce's infrastructure was weak and it was unable to form a strong enough production line. It was fine if they lacked money, but the most troublesome thing was that they lacked manpower. It wasn't that they couldn't recruit people, but it was difficult to recruit people that they could trust. Chu Tian didn't feel it was difficult. You can't become fat in one bite. The Chamber of Commerce was still in its early stages and couldn't take care of everything. This was only a matter of time and it would be solved sooner or later. Chu Tian asked, is there anything else that's difficult? I'm afraid it's the product itself. Meng Qingwu's eyebrows slightly wrinkled. The source energy electric light needs source energy to be activated. Every 5 minutes of source energy should be enough to maintain the light for around an hour. But of the 3 million people in South Sky City, only 200,000 have source energy cultivators. This means that ordinary people still can't use the electric light. For Meng Qingwu to be able to recognize this point, Chu Tian felt quite satisfied. Meng Yingying suddenly had an idea and immediately raised her small white hand. Meng Qingwu saw her little sister's positive reaction and showed a gratified smile. She warmly asked, Yingying, what do you want to say? I have an idea. Meng Yingying's little face was slightly red as she nervously clenched her fists. She then glanced at Chu Tian and stammered, we can open up a charging station and hire cultivators to work. They can charge the lights of ordinary people. This way, the problem will be solved. Xiong Yan hurriedly said, teacher is right. If we can charge for charging like this, wouldn't we be able to earn a lot of money? The Chamber of Commerce is so short of money, this is a good idea. Meng Qingwu lightly shook her head, not agreeing with this idea. Chu Tian answered the specific reason for her. Our electric light's selling points are cheap, convenient, safe, and practical. If we do this, we'll lose the core advantage. It's better to light candles. Meng Yingying's small face fell and revealed a disappointed expression. Chu Tian comforted the little girl. Your idea is actually quite good. It's just that when you apply it to electric lights, your thinking isn't quite right. Meng Yingying smiled sweetly and didn't mind. Chu Tian continued, I've thought about the solution a long time ago. I'm going to develop a kind of cheap solid energy that can be used for a long time, or develop a solar energy charging array. This way, we can solve the electric light's energy problem. Meng Qingwu's eyes lit up. Can it be done? Chu Tian was full of confidence. What? You don't believe me? Your job is to build and manage the Chamber of Commerce. You don't need to worry about technical problems. With me around, everything will be fine. Although Chu Tian was conceited and arrogant, he was still quite reliable. Meng Qingwu felt as if she had just eaten a tranquilizer. The biggest problem was solved. A servant hurriedly ran in and presented a letter, an invitation from the mayor's mansion. Sir Chu Tian is invited to attend the year-end handover ceremony of the resource site tomorrow. Chu Tian was at a loss when he heard this. Division ceremony? This summit competition is held for the division of land. Nan Gongyun looked at him with a strange expression. You don't even know this and you're going to attend the summit? He really didn't know. So the summit competition had such an important meaning? However, it wasn't a bad thing. Chu Tian accepted the invitation with peace of mind. Let me tell you, that guy is very sneaky. You have to be careful. Nan Gongyun was not very assured with Chu Tian. Remember, don't accept any benefits. He never does anything without benefits. The more generous he is, the more it means that he wants to take advantage of you. As for things like investments, you can just kick him away and piss that old ghost off. Who asked him to not give me money in the beginning? Miss Nangong was indeed incomparably valiant. However, Chu Tian remembered her words. Meng Qingwu stood up and said, It's getting late. Let's call it a day. Go back and rest. Everyone was a little tired. They immediately dispersed to rest. Chu Tian had long since stopped living in a small house. Now, he moved into a small house with 2 entrances. It was quiet and comfortable, suitable for cultivation and research. Inside the small house, it was quiet and a cool breeze blew against his face. Chu Tian took a breath of the cool air. His brain gradually cooled down. He raised his head and looked at the night sky. His dark eyes reflected the starlight and his gaze was a little dazed. The dark sky was filled with stars. 30,000 years ago, 30,000 years later, this starry sky had never changed since ancient times. However, under the starry sky, all living beings rose and fell, alternating with each other, forming an endless cycle until the day the world was destroyed. History, to bystanders, was a pale description. But to those who experienced it, it was a life of flesh and blood. In any case, Chu Tian could really feel it. No matter how beautiful you were, no matter how talented you were, what was the use? You were just a grain of sand in the long river of history. Meng Qingwu, Meng Yingying, Nan Gongyun and so on, all of them were vivid figures. Thousands of years later, who would still know that they existed? Emperors and hegemons roamed the world. Looking down on the world, they only caused a small wave. Painstakingly cultivating, fighting for fame and fortune, in the end, they still turned to dust. If you think like that, then living a life is quite boring. Chu Tian had crossed 2 different spaces, a whole 30,000 years apart. He had experienced the vicissitudes of life. He could not help but have some strange and crazy thoughts. For example, could living beings live forever? In history, the maximum lifespan of the human race was more than 1,000 years. This was the limit of mortals. It was said that beyond this limit was the realm of gods. Then, could mortals break through the limit? They definitely could. 30,000 years later, The continent's radical scholars believed that the knowledge and wisdom that humans currently possessed was enough to challenge the limit. The continent's youngest great sage, Chu Tian, happened to be a member of the radical scholars. For the sake of debating this topic, Chu Tian had no lack of bickering with those stubborn old men. However, although that civilization was extremely prosperous, the continent's resources were severely depleted. They could only stay in theory and had no way to put it into practice. Finally, Chu Tian did not need to argue anymore. Miracle commerce would be the stepping stone for Chu Tian to realize his ambition. Miracle commerce was not only the miracle of this era. It would also become Chu Tian's miracle. Grasping knowledge and wisdom from 30,000 years ago, as well as the abundant spiritual energy and natural resources of 30,000 years ago, this was an advantage that no one had ever had. If he did not grasp it well, wouldn't it be a waste? Chu Tian was not a person who was content with his lot, so he wanted to give it a try. He wanted to challenge the limits of humanity. He wanted to explore the realm of gods. Would he succeed? He did not know. There was no precedent in history. However, to a person like him, success or failure did not matter. It was better to fight against the heavens than to fight against humans. The process of fighting was endless joy, wasn't it? Everyone needed to have their own dreams, or they would lose their way on the road of cultivation. Chu Tian's dream was to surpass the limits of mortals. He wanted to see, for thousands of years, what the world that he had been dreaming of was like. Chu Tian was still too weak. Becoming stronger was the most important thing now. Although there were many ways, Chu Tian had grasped 30,000 years of wisdom. As long as he had enough money and resources, Chu Tian was confident that he could smash an idiot like Meng Yingying into the top expert of the continent. The problem was that he did not have money and resources. What was the use of this knowledge? Would he dare to take it out and sell it? A man's wealth is his own ruin. Even ordinary people understood this, so how could Chu Tian not understand? Currently, he had only revealed 1 in a million, but it had already attracted the attention of the Ye family. They almost used a conspiracy to control Chu Tian, making him never see the light of day, and use him as a walking dictionary. Chu Tian did not have a strong enough force to protect him, so he could not take out too much knowledge to avoid attracting the attention of some top forces. This time, he had established the Chamber of Commerce with a bang for no other reason. Chu Tian needed a force of his own. Not only could it provide him with protection, but it would also be a good foundation and preparation for him to plunder resources and make money in the future. In this way, not only would he be able to achieve his goals, but he would also be able to establish his career and influence. He would also be able to experience the joy of teaching this era and changing this world. Why not? Just thinking about it made him feel fulfilled. Chu Tian's heart was filled with pride, and his sleepiness was gone. He immediately went back to his room, found a milky white pill, and swallowed it. Soul-gathering pill, this was refined from the spirit medicine in the cave, and it was also the last pill. Chu Tian felt the spirit energy in his meridians become stronger and stronger, like a monkey. He jumped into the small courtyard and began to stretch his muscles, practicing a set of fist techniques. Punches like spears, palms like knives. Every move was filled with elegance and charm. After a few hours, Chu Tian's body gradually heated up, and his pores emitted a white mist of spirit energy. He did not feel the slightest bit tired, but instead became more and more energetic. Ha! Chu Tian suddenly shouted. An exuberant aura of origin energy gushed out from his body and suddenly transformed into small white cyclones around him. Chu Tian's aura suddenly increased by 30 to 40%. As expected, yet another breakthrough. From the peak of the 6th rank of body refinement to the 7th rank of body refinement. The entire process only took half a month. From the 1st rank to the 7th rank, it could be said to be a miraculous speed. Although he had a breakthrough, he was not too happy. The spirit medicine in the cave was finished, and there was still a big gap from the awakened soul realm, and there was less than 2 months left. Chu Tian was clear, with this body's current aptitude, to rely on solid cultivation to become an awakened soul cultivator in less than 2 months? Dream on. Without 5 to 8 years of hard work, don't even think about it. Although this body had soaked in the spirit spring, and its aptitude had improved, at most it could be considered a genius in this small place. If it was taken to the whole continent, it would not even be worth a fart. The Ye family, the Du family, and especially Yi Xiong, would not let him go. No one could guess what kind of sinister methods these grandsons would use next. Yi Xiong and Du Zhentian, to be able to become overlords, were not ordinary people. But the fortuitous encounter in the blood-patterned flood python's cave was difficult to replicate, and he could not encounter this kind of good thing every time he went out, right? In the end, he was still short of money. Chu Tian could not sit still and wait for death, so he had to make money as soon as possible. First, he had to collect a large amount of resources and throw his cultivation into the 9th body refinement layer. As long as he could awaken a trace of his spirit, Chu Tian was confident that an ordinary first-layer awakened soul cultivator would not be able to deal with him. However, in the end, a long night is fraught with dreams. Before Chu Tian could grow to the point where he could directly confront Yi Xiong, he would face the danger of being killed at any time. He still needed the protection of Zhang Liqing, Xiong Bing, and Nangong Yi. Especially Nangong Yi, although he did not have a deep foundation in Tianan City, he was still the city lord, and his position and power were the highest. This was also the reason why Chu Tian wanted to show his mind eye at the summit. The Nangong family was one of the 3 great families in the kingdom. It was impossible for Nangong Yi not to see through the mind eye. If he saw through the mind eye, it was impossible for him not to value Chu Tian. But there was a limit to how much he valued Chu Tian. Yi Xiong would not make a move for now, but once he made a move, it would be as powerful as a thunderbolt. He even had the confidence to make Nangong Yi retreat. In order for Nangong Yi to protect Chu Tian, it was hard to say how much he was willing to pay. The mayor was the only person in Tianan City that could protect miracle commerce. If miracle commerce wanted to start steadily, there was only one way, and that was to find a way to pull him onto the chariot. Letting the mayor's daughter, Nangong Yun, join them, from a certain point of view, was for this purpose. This was not enough. Chu Tian had to do something to strengthen the mayor's confidence in him. No matter what happened in the future, the mayor could stand by his side without hesitation. Calculating the time, the sun was about to rise. Chu Tian stopped thinking, there was always a way. First he would go and meet the mayor, Nangong Yi. Chapter 41. Early in the morning, a majestic bronze bull carriage appeared at the entrance. 100 or so mayor's palace guards dressed in heavy armor, like 2 neat rows of tin cans, stood at the entrance to welcome Chu Tian out, sending a carriage and sending an escort team. The mayor's sincerity was quite high. The distribution of several territories should not have much to do with the mayor. But now the mayor not only personally received him, but also sent a luxurious lineup to welcome him. His intention to curry favor with Chu Tian was obvious. Of course, it was hard to guarantee that there were no ulterior motives. But for a small citizen to receive the mayor's attention, no matter how you looked at it, it was a glorious thing. Chu Tian was not nervous at all. Going up a mountain of swords to get back 2 tails of iron, going down a frying pan without forgetting to bring a bar of soap to bathe, this was his usual style. The word fear could not be found in his dictionary. Chu Tian straightforwardly sat in the majestic large beast carriage, escorted by 100 or so guards to the outskirts of the city. Nangong Yi walked over. President Chu Tian, you've come? Wine-red long-sleeved formal attire, the appearance was straight, the lines were smooth, the outside was tied with a large white cloak, and on his head was a white velvet hat. Paired with his upright and resolute face, with a bit of beard, his entire body was filled with a noble aura. I've made the mayor wait for a long time. Chu Tian walked up to the 2-meter-tall body and patted the bronze barbaric bull's skin that was as hard as iron and stone. He clicked his tongue in praise. The mayor is the mayor, even the carriage is different. This bronze bull's battle strength, I'm afraid it's equivalent to a cultivator at the 7th or 8th layer of body refinement. Its defensive ability is comparable to a 9th layer body refinement demon beast. Nangong Yi's eyes flashed, and he immediately smiled and said, this carriage comes from Imperial City, The bronze bull has been professionally tamed, absolutely obeying the master's orders. It has tyrannical endurance, good battle strength, can pull a carriage, and can also be an escort. Among all the carriages in Tianan City, this carriage can at least be ranked in the top 10. A carriage from Imperial City? It was definitely a high-end brand. Nangong Yi continued to introduce. The carriage is 10 feet high and 8 feet wide. The interior is cast from cold iron and the exterior is wrapped in fire copper. The carvings are exquisite and the construction is perfect. While traveling, you will not feel any bumps. It has a strong defensive ability and can withstand the attacks of cultivators below the awakened soul realm, thus ensuring the safety of the master. Chu Tian nodded. Good, good. Nangong Yi observed the changes in Chu Tian's expression. Without warning, he said, "This is our first official meeting, so I didn't prepare any gifts. If you like the bronze barbaric ox carriage, I'll give it to you as a meeting gift. How about that?" No way, so generous? Those who are unaccountably solicitous are hiding evil intentions. The city lord was a shrewd old fox. He would not give it away for no reason. Chu Tian pretended to be bashful and said, "How could I do that?" Nangong Yi smiled faintly and said, "There are a few more in the city lord's mansion. I don't mind giving you one. Besides, you've made a lot of enemies." My informant brought back information that Yi Xiong has started to secretly investigate you. Investigate? What do I have to investigate? I don't know about that, but Yi Xiong has sent several groups of people to Central State. I don't know what kind of conspiracy he's brewing. Chu Tian's sword-like eyebrows twisted. There's such a thing? Don't worry too much. Although the Ye family is very powerful, South Sky City is only a small territory. They still have to give me face. Nangong Yi put on a very righteous posture. But it's easy to dodge a spear in the open, but it's hard to guard against a hidden arrow. The safety of the bronze barbaric ox carriage is more than enough to deal with a sneak attack. You need it more than I do. Chu Tian did not refuse this time. All right, since the city lord is so kind, then I'll be unreasonable if I refuse again. Many thanks to the city lord for the carriage. Nangong Yun's warning was thrown to the back of his mind. Chu Tian did not care about any schemes. How could a man not have a good carriage? In South Sky City, this bronze barbaric ox carriage was a very high-grade item. Driving it on the streets would definitely be very eye-catching. Nangong Yi secretly nodded. The city lord's gift was accepted without batting an eyelid. Moreover, he accepted it with a clear conscience. It was as if it was a gift from a son to his father. This little brat's skin is really thick. He will definitely become a great person in the future. The bronze barbaric ox carriage was not a high-grade item in Royal City. It was bought for 10,000 gold coins. In a place like South Sky City, even if you had the money, you wouldn't be able to buy it. The price would at least double. Nangong Yi's heart was bleeding, but his expression did not change. He cheerfully said, "You are the champion of the competition. You can monopolize the rights to mine 4 mines for a year. In addition, the rights to use the forest and spirit fields will also belong to you. The time limit is also 1 year." Chu Tian was a little hesitant. Nangong Yi's eyes were sharp. He instantly saw through Chu Tian's thoughts. You can also transfer the rights to another family. This way, you can earn a transfer fee and save time and effort. What do you think? He understood. This old fox had his eyes on these big pieces of meat. Miracle Commerce was a newly established company. They did not have enough people. How could they find a group of miners and farmers to mine the land? Even if they found a group of miners and farmers, would Miracle Commerce be able to mine the resources in peace? Don't be stupid. With the resource allocation agreement, the Ye family and Du family would not dare cause trouble in the open. But they would definitely play dirty tricks behind the scenes. Miracle Commerce had just been established. They needed to concentrate on their work. They did not have the energy to deal with these things. The profits from the mines, spirit fields, and forest were not small. Now, other than the city lord's palace, no one dared to take this hot potato. Chu Tian remained calm. I'm not dead yet. I'll go take a look first. All right, this city lord will introduce them to you. The city lord's heart was very depressed. This sly fellow. I've given you the benefits and the hint is so obvious. You're still pretending to be stupid. There were a total of 4 mines. 1 crystal mine and 3 metal mines. The crystal mine was the most valuable. It could produce level 1 fire crystals. Its value surpassed the sum of the other 3 mines. The forest and spirit fields were also not bad. The forest was a very ideal hunting area. It had a large area. Not only could it be used for hunting, it could also be used for grazing. There were often wild spirit herbs and spirit herbs. As for the spirit fields, there was no need to talk about them. All the land in the city had been cleared and could be used to grow herbs. It was really rich. No wonder the large families were fighting so hard for it. But although the resource fields were attractive, Miracle Commerce did not have the ability to mine them. Because there was no other choice, Nangong-yi had him. How could this work? Chu Tian had a free and easy personality. He did not care about the gains and losses. But he was not someone who was willing to be ripped off. He might as well drag it out and whet Nangong-yi's appetite. If he took the initiative to open his mouth, then the initiative would fall into Chu Tian's hands. Chu Tian would be able to obtain even more benefits. But Nangong-yi was not an ordinary person. How could he not know the secret? Although he wanted it, he did not open his mouth. He even pretended to be indifferent. He pretended to be enthusiastic as he brought Chu Tian around. This was a genius youth who had comprehended the profound meaning of the mind's eye. He definitely could not become enemies with him. From the beginning, Nangong-yi had never thought of using threats or promises. Getting these resources from his hands was a good thing. If he really did not want to hand them over, then Nangong-yi would not do anything to him. The two of them wandered around like this for several hours. Suddenly, a mine that was different from the others appeared in front of them. There were no miners in this mine. Instead, it was surrounded by soldiers. If one did not look carefully, they would think it was a military camp in the wilderness. Chu Tian asked curiously, "What's with this mine?" Nangong-yi replied, "Oh, you mean it? This is a liquid crystal mine. It's not worth much. It is controlled by the mayor's palace. They are mainly afraid of demon beasts or criminals breaking in. After all, liquid crystal is a very dangerous thing. If it causes a big explosion, South Sky City will be greatly affected." Chu Tian's eyes lit up. Liquid crystal? It's crystal oil. That's right, it's this thing. Let's go in and take a look. The two of them walked into the mine. The mine's mining equipment was very simple. It didn't even need any mining equipment. After walking into the mine, there was a small cliff. The cliff was about 10 meters tall and there was a bright white object at the bottom. The bright white object was not a solid. It was a kind of low-viscosity gelatinous liquid. The color was very pure and there were almost no impurities. It flowed at an extremely slow speed, forming a small lake. It was like a white mirror placed in the cave. Chu Tian's eyes flashed with a hint of uncontrollable surprise. Is this crystal oil mine completely controlled by the mayor's palace? Strange. What's wrong with this brat? Crystal oil was an extremely cheap resource and very few people used it. The supply of crystal oil far exceeded the demand, which led to many crystal oil mines with abundant reserves that almost no one cared about. Just the central state city alone had a lot of crystal oil mines that were idle. How could this brat be interested in this thing? The mayor nodded. That's right. I want this crystal oil mine. Chu Tian quickly calmed himself down and resolutely said, I'll trade the mine, the forest, and the spirit fields for this year. Nangong-yi staggered and almost fell. What did you say? You want this broken crystal oil mine? Chu Tian nodded and said, I have a condition. The mayor must send guards to assist Miracle Commerce in mining. Can you accept this? Did this brat's brain go haywire? This world really had good things like meat pies falling from the sky. It's a deal. It's a deal. Nangong-yi was secretly delighted. He chuckled and said, I won't hide it from you. South Sky City's oil mine is very rich. In the entire central state, you won't be able to find two that can compare. Although the price of crystal oil is not high, it's rich in reserves. After all, Miracle Commerce is unable to mine these resources for a year. In comparison, this crystal oil mine is a permanent mining right. You can wait for the conditions to mature and mine for 10 or 20 years. Who knows, you might even earn more. When Nangong Yi said this, he did not believe it himself. Mining for oil to make money? Only ghosts would believe it. A broken crystal oil mine in exchange for so many high-quality resources, it was really a good deal. The reason the mayor thought this way was because crystal oil was extremely unstable. If it was violently shaken or mixed with other substances, it would immediately explode. So far, other than a few dangerous weapons that could use crystal oil, there were no other uses for crystal oil. Although this crystal oil mine was not small, no one had ever fought for it. It had always been in the hands of the mayor, and the mayor had never seriously mined it. This thing could not be sold. If it was dug up and stored in the city, it would become a ticking time bomb. If one day it went out of control, it would be a terrible thing. How could Chu Tian not know what the mayor was thinking? This idiot. Chu Tian's eyes revealed a trace of pity. Crystal oil, also known as liquid crystal, was not a real crystal stone. It was not even an ordinary mineral, but a kind of microorganism. This kind of microorganism was found in large amounts in crystal ores and mainly fed on crystal ores. After the microorganism died, a large amount of it would precipitate in the rock layer. Under a specific environment, after billions of years of evolution, it would eventually become the precious crystal oil. In the history of the continent, crystal oil had played an important role. It was the fuel of civilization, the blood of science and technology, the foundation of industry, the master of war, and the backing of a country's power. 20,000 years later, wherever there was intelligent life, crystal oil had already been mined out. This kind of resource had become an extremely rare and precious resource on the continent. Countries often fought over a single crystal oil mine, resulting in tragic wars and killings. In the era that Chu Tian lived in, the crystal oil on the continent had basically been completely exhausted. People had no choice but to use the extraterrestrial and planar mines to obtain energy at a very high price. They could only reminisce about the past golden age in endless regret. But crystal oil was cheaper than iron ore. Crystal oil was divided into 3 grades. The first grade was gold, the second was silver, and the third was white. This was the lowest grade white oil mine. Now it was almost worthless. But in 10,000 years or so, this oil mine's value would be enough to buy a few states' worth of fertile land with more than enough. Oil mine in hand, miracle commerce was like the heavens helping him. Chu Tian suppressed the excitement in his heart and immediately said to Nangong Yi, "First, help me get a bottle of oil back. I want to carefully study it." Nangong Yi hurriedly advised, "The crystal oil is very unstable after leaving the mine. The slightest vibration or penetration will immediately cause a terrifying explosion. Unless it's a professional, no one would dare to touch it. Don't be reckless." Chu Tian said, "I know what I'm doing. Let's hurry back to the city and sign the resource exchange agreement. Those resource sites will all belong to the city lord's mansion." Nangong Yi suddenly felt as if he had been injected with chicken blood. Wasn't it just a bottle of oil? Let him bring it back. In any case, with me watching over it, there shouldn't be any big problems. Let's hurry up and sign the agreement. Chapter 42. Mayor's Palace. The two of them signed a resource exchange contract. The moment the contract was completed, Nangong Yi believed it was true. How could there be such a stupid idiot in this world? Exchanging a pile of high-quality resources for a broken oil mine. The mayor asked himself if he was pressuring him, but this little brat willingly took it out. Of course, the mayor could not contain his joy. Perhaps even in his dreams, he would never have thought that 1 year later, he would beat his chest and stamp his feet in frustration. While the mayor was secretly delighted, Chu Tian picked up a pen and paper and wrote a long paragraph. This was a dozen recipes that Chu Tian had written down. "Mayor, can you help me take a look at these recipes? Which of the ingredients can be found in South Sky City? I need them urgently." The ingredients were actually very common. However, South Sky City was a small place with poor resources. Writing a bit more was just a bit of insurance. I haven't seen most of them, but South Sky City has all the ingredients listed in the 8th recipe. Nangong-yi thought that it was convenient to pick up some shit and straightforwardly said, "The mayor's palace has them in stock. If you need them urgently, I'll have someone send them over." Chu Tian's heart moved and he suddenly thought of something. "Okay, then I'll have to trouble the mayor." "That's great." With the ingredients, he could refine the crystal oil. This was indeed an era of abundant resources. If this kind of treasure was not sought after, then how many important natural resources were there that people did not know about? With Chu Tian's foresight, he would definitely be ahead of everyone else and take all the rare resources of the continent for himself. Then he would create an everlasting, glorious history. Nangong-yi carefully looked at the list of ingredients: blue crystal sand, crystal dust, moonlight grass, red coral juice, a strong dissolving agent. Strange, blue crystal sand and crystal dust are refining materials. Blue crystal sand can greatly increase the sharpness of weapons. Crystal dust can increase the strength of weapons. Moonlight grass is an alchemy material, and red coral juice is a talisman material. How could these materials be used together? It doesn't look like refining weapons or alchemy. Chu Tian didn't expect Nangong-yi to know so much about materials. It seems that the city lord has a wide range of knowledge. Nangong-yi said bluntly, "I've studied refining before, but I don't dare say I'm very skilled. I'm quite famous in Imperial City." These words sounded humble on the surface, but in fact, they were not. What kind of place was Royal City? Since he dared to say that he had some fame in Imperial City, he might as well just say that he was #1 in South Sky City. Chu Tian was a little curious about the refining technology of this era. He asked thoughtfully, "Does the city lord have any works? Let me broaden my horizons." Nangong-yi took out a short sword from his waist. This sword was only 2.5 feet in length. It was entirely scarlet red, and the blade was curved like a poisonous snake. It was smooth and sharp, and there were some symbols engraved on it. "I made this flaming serpent sword myself." This sword was Nangong-yi's proudest work. How could a country bumpkin like him have ever seen such a masterpiece? Chu Tian was shocked on the spot, then he bowed his head. The city lord wouldn't last long. Who would have thought that Chu Tian would lightly say, "It's all right"? "What do you mean it's all right? Do you even have eyes?" Nangong-yi's brows wrinkled. Could it be that President Chu Tian also knows how to refine weapons? "I've dabbled a little, but I can see a few problems." Chu Tian took the flaming serpent sword and slowly closed his eyes. His fingers lightly brushed the blade of the flaming serpent sword. An invisible wave slowly spread out. Mind's eye. He once again had the mind's eye. Nangong-yi was so excited that he couldn't help but take a step back. Nangong-yi knew that the mind's eye could see through people's minds. It wasn't mind reading, but it could distinguish evil thoughts, good thoughts, happiness, anger, sorrow, joy, etc. The city lord had just used a worthless oil mine to exchange for so many resources. Now he had a guilty conscience. His fingers lightly brushed the back of the sword. Chu Tian opened his eyes. Taking the volcano crystal as the core, forging the body with the red vein steel, refining it for 49 days, using the flame lizard's blood, the raging flame beast's scales, sealing the scarlet flame snake's soul, and adding 3 arrays, they are not a single mistake. Not a single mistake. This was too shocking. The city lord muttered to himself, "The legends are indeed true. Once the mind's eye is opened, everything can be seen. Spirit, matter, energy, nothing can escape the mind's eye." Terrifying. This kind of power could see through the enemy's flaws and thoughts in battle, allowing him to gain the upper hand. This kind of ability could be used to find treasures. Some treasures looked plain and unadorned. Normal people couldn't identify them, but they couldn't escape the mind's eye. Nangong-yi was envious and jealous. This kid wasn't even 18 years old. How could he have this kind of abnormal ability? Chu Tian calmly smiled, pretending to be mysterious, and said, "The mind's eye is not mysterious, it's just a very ordinary ability. Can't you stop pretending? You're just showing off. You want to anger this city lord to death." Nangong-yi smiled bitterly. President Chu Tian really knows how to joke. How many people in the entire kingdom have the mind's eye? This kingdom is too small. Chu Tian paused, then slowly explained, whether it's hyperfocus or the mind's eye, they are all abilities produced from the spirit and consciousness, commonly known as divine sense. As a member of the Nangong family, Nangong-yi was experienced and knowledgeable, but this was the first time he had heard of such a thing. Divine sense? Can you tell me the specifics? Divine sense and strength aren't directly related, but there are high and low realms. Chu Tian paused, then continued. The first realm is the so-called hyperfocus. It only distributes the divine sense to the organs, thus strengthening the sensory abilities. The second realm is the so-called mind's eye. At this time, the spirit and consciousness can separate from the body, using an ability that surpasses the senses of the body to sense matter, ability, and even spiritual changes. This young man was truly unfathomable. In just a few words, he had opened up an unheard of and unknown domain. Nangong-yi revealed a dazed expression. Could it be that there is a higher level of divine sense than the mind's eye? Chu Tian nodded his head and said, of course there is. Once a true expert's divine sense is released, within 1,000 feet, every flower, every grass, every insect, every ant can be seen. Ghosts, evil spirits, demons, all have nowhere to hide. When one reaches an even higher realm, the divine sense can leave the body and travel thousands of miles, coming and going freely. What's more, it can turn into physical energy, control the thoughts of others, and even kill people with a single thought. The legendary highest realm. With a single thought, flowers bloom. With a single thought, like a deity. That legendary highest realm, even Chu Tian hadn't reached it. That was a realm in theory. Perhaps it had already surpassed the limits of mortals. Nangong-yi was a bit dazed. He had never heard of this before. The human body actually contained this kind of ability? What realm has your divine sense reached? The city lord thinks too highly of me. Although this divine sense is not directly related to cultivation, it is indeed directly affected by mental strength. My low cultivation limits the growth of my mental strength. Although I can open the mind's eye, it is still very difficult and can only be used for a short period of time. This was really unbelievable. Chu Tian's words were like a fantasy story. Nangong-yi had a strong intuition that this person's words were not fake. For the first time, Nangong-yi realized how big this world was, and how small he was. From this guy's tone, increasing divine sense was as easy as drinking plain water. The reason why he could only open the mind's eye was because his strength was too low. Chu Tian sighed and said, on the path of refining, divine sense is especially important. Forgive me for speaking bluntly, but if you don't even have the subtlety realm, even if you have talent, it will be difficult to achieve great success. Saying this, Chu Tian returned the flaming serpent sword to Nangong-yi. I feel that the flaming serpent's soul within the flaming serpent sword is very weak. I suggest that you prepare some soul-nurturing grass and nourish it for a month or two. The sword's power will definitely double. Nangong-yi's expression became complicated. He hesitated for a few seconds and said, I have a request. Chu Tian pretended to be surprised. What does the city lord need from this one? Nangong-yi cupped his hands towards Chu Tian. Can you teach me how to cultivate divine sense? Chu Tian smiled and said, divine sense is different from elemental energy. There is no specific technique to cultivate. Mental and spiritual things are deep and ethereal, mainly relying on personal comprehension and transformation. Once you comprehend it, you can create something out of nothing. Actually, there were techniques to cultivate divine sense. However, these techniques were too difficult and could not be cultivated with Southern Xia's resources. Chu Tian had other plans and was not prepared to reveal these. Sigh, if that's the case. I'm not fated. Chu Tian saw Nangong-yi's dejected face and said, the city lord does not need to belittle yourself. Your talent is not bad. What you lack is a bit of luck. Everyone lacked luck. Being born required luck, cultivation required luck, fortuitous encounters required luck. Who did not lack luck? Chu Tian suddenly changed the topic. I may be able to provide a technique that can temper one's mental power. Although it cannot directly cultivate divine sense, it can be of some assistance. I believe that people with good comprehension, as long as they persevere for a period of time, reaching the minute subtlety realm will not be a problem. Nangong Yi revealed a look of ecstasy. Really? Chu Tian's eyes flashed a trace of craftiness. However, City Lord, this method is not ready-made and I have not taught it to anyone, so I will need a long time to organize my thoughts and summarize my experience. Only then can I write it out. How long do you need? About a month. Nangong Yi was very anxious. So long? Chu Tian said seriously, mental training is not a trivial matter. If something goes wrong, there will be endless consequences. If it's light, you will become disabled or insane. If it's heavy, you will die. I must not be careless, I must organize my thoughts. This kid is half lying. He definitely has this method. Nangong Yi firmly believed this. But, does he really need a month? Probably not. This brat is delaying on purpose so that I can protect him at all costs in this 1 month's time. The temptation is too great. This is a technique that can assist in cultivating divine sense. Its value is probably even more precious than the Nangong family's ancestral technique, burning the heavens technique. Because no matter how strong burning the heavens technique is, it is still a technique with astonishing destructive power. The kingdom does not lack such techniques, and the continent does not lack them. Chu Tian's mental training technique is indeed a rare commodity. Not to mention the kingdom does not have it, it would be difficult to find it in other countries. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Nangong Yi to not know about it. Good. More haste makes waste. 1 month it is. If this method really works, my Nangong family will thank you. Chu Tian did not change his expression, revealing a proud smile. His goal has been achieved. No matter what the Ye family's plot, the mayor will protect him even if he has to sacrifice his life. Unless the Ye family's methods are so strong that even the mayor cannot protect him, Chu Tian is safe. As for 1 month later, there is nothing to worry about. As long as everything goes smoothly, Chu Tian will most likely be awake by then. At this time, a servant came in pushing a cart. Inside were several crystal jars containing blue crystal sand, crystal dust, moonlight grass powder, and red coral juice. The materials have arrived. Chu Tian checked to make sure there were no problems. He carefully moved out the small bucket filled with crystal oil. I want to start an experiment. If the mayor is interested, you can stay and watch. Could it be that this experiment is related to crystal oil? What kind of extremely dangerous substance is crystal oil? Can that thing be touched casually? If something happens to this kid, the mayor will suffer a great loss. Nangong Yi's heart was already itching for the mental training technique. He could not directly prohibit Chu Tian from experimenting, so he simply stayed and watched. Then this mayor will watch President Chu Tian's methods. Chapter 43. Blue crystal sand, crystal dust, moonlight grass powder, scarlet coral juice. The 4 materials were mixed in a ratio of 3:1:1:1. A strong dissolving agent was added to the mixture and stirred for more than 10 minutes to make 100 milliliters of a blue saturated solution. After precipitation and filtration, a pure solution was extracted. Nangong Yi was amazed. Chu Tian's technique was very skillful, not at all like that of a young novice. It was just that these materials were neither fish nor fowl, neither 3 nor 4, and he did not want to do them at all. Why were they mixed together? Chu Tian poured the solution into a refining bottle and heated it to a boiling state. The refining bottle was a bottle specially used to refine potions. Could it be used to refine potions? That's impossible. Chu Tian calmly picked up a red crystal pen, calmed himself down, and then began to work. When the thin tip of the brush gently landed on the stage, it was as if it had been bestowed with a life of its own. It drew mysterious runes on a machine-like scale, and with a sense of artistic beauty, it gradually sketched out perfect patterns. Nangong Yi could not help but be absent-minded, unconsciously indulging in it. Perfect brush technique. Perfect technique. Not to mention the source energy array itself. If the top masters in Imperial City saw Chu Tian's technique, they would be so ashamed that they would commit suicide. Chu Tian calmly put away the pen. A triangular complex array had been perfectly presented. Source energy arrays were the basis of all production activities, whether it was talisman making, alchemy, or weapon forging. The level of a source energy array a person could draw was directly related to their spiritual power. The stronger their spiritual power, the higher the level of the source energy array they could draw. Chu Tian's current cultivation was too weak, so he could only draw a level 1 source energy array. When he gave Xiong Yan the level 2 antidote array, he only provided a blueprint of the array and did not directly draw the source energy array. Because his spiritual power was not enough, Zhang Liqing, who was in the awakened soul realm, could draw it himself. Refining crude oil was not a complicated technique. A level 1 array was enough. Chu Tian finished his preparations and immediately opened the oil bottle. He carefully lifted the bottle and looked like he was about to pour the crystal oil out. Nangong Yi's eyes suddenly widened. Crazy. This guy is crazy. He really wanted to experiment with crystal oil. Nangong Yi's expression turned ugly, but he didn't dare to rush up and snatch it. He immediately tried his best to dissuade him. Don't mess around. The nature of this crystal oil is extremely unstable. If even a little bit of crystal oil goes out of control, it will cause a terrifying explosion. Destroying the house is a small matter, but if you lose your life, then for thousands of years. People had tried countless times to control this powerful energy. It was just that a series of terrible accidents and bloody and painful lessons kept emerging. It was as if they were announcing to the people that the crystal oil was uncontrollable. Once the crystal oil was overheated, there would be a violent tremor and the mixture of substances would most likely explode. This power was enough to blast a hole in the city lord's mansion. It didn't matter if the city lord's mansion was blown up, but if Chu Tian died, where would Nangong Yi find the secret method that could assist in cultivating divine sense? Who would have thought that the brat would not appreciate it at all? Instead, he said confidently, "Don't worry, City Lord, I know what I'm doing." "What the hell do you have in mind? You don't even know that your life is hanging by a thread. Quickly stop." The City Lord almost knelt down in front of Chu Tian. However, this reckless guy still poured the crystal oil into the refining bottle. The moment the crystal oil and the blue crystal sand solution fused, the temperature soared and a large amount of bubbles continuously gushed out. The entire refining bottle began to shake and a destructive energy was brewing inside. Nangong Yi's soul almost flew out. "Quickly run. It's going to explode." Even if it was an awakened soul realm cultivator with such a close distance, with the terrifying destructive power of the crystal oil going out of control, it would be hard to avoid the danger of being seriously injured. Chu Tian still turned a deaf ear to him and acted as if the city lord did not exist. His 2 hands pressed on the refining table and his spirit energy suddenly flowed into the array. The array lit up and an invisible force poured into the refining bottle. This was simply suicide. Was the crystal oil mixture not enough? This kind of notoriously unstable substance was actually treated like a medicine by Chu Tian and refined it with a source energy array. This kind of crazy method, there was probably no one else on the continent that could do it. Even if Nangong Yi wanted to stop it, it was too late. Because the moment the crystal oil went out of control, the refining bottle exploded with a strong reaction and a dazzling light burst out, just like a small sun. Not good. Nangong Yi reflexively released his spirit energy. The red energy condensed into a protective cover on the surface of his body as he prepared to receive the terrifying explosion. 1 second passed. 2 seconds passed. "Hey, why is it still fine?" Nangong Yi broke out in a cold sweat as his eyes widened. The light inside the refining bottle had mostly dissipated. It was like a solidified beam of blue and white light, no longer as dazzling as before. Nangong Yi's eyes bulged like a dead fish's and he could not speak for a long time. The crystal oil did not go out of control and explode? Was this an illusion? Was the reaction controlled? But this was impossible. Nangong Yi's brain could not process this at all. Chu Tian took out 5 strong crystal tubes and used the blue and white liquid inside the refining bottle. He slowly poured it into the crystal tubes and sealed them with copper lids. 5 cylindrical crystal tubes were placed in front of him. Each crystal tube was filled with the blue and white liquid, like a short stick condensed from blue and white light. Nangong Yi recovered with great difficulty and asked with a trembling voice, You controlled the crystal oil's energy? How did you do it? Chu Tian calmly smiled. What do you think? Nangong Yi felt that his understanding had been completely overturned. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Chu Tian acted as if he had just finished a trivial matter. There is nothing impossible in this world. It is just that we have not found the method. Do you know how the crystal oil is formed? How could I not know? People on the continent have long studied it. A large number of mysterious microorganisms live in the crystal mines and devour the crystals. After they die, they precipitate, and after a long time, they finally transform into a strange high-energy substance. What does this have to do with controlling the crystal oil? Then why not use your brain and find a way to control it from the source? Don't play with this, city lord. Are the two related? Stupid. Stupid to the extreme. Chu Tian shook his head and sighed. The microorganisms that survive by devouring crystals also have a strong energy when they are alive. Why are they so stable and never explode? Why is it that after they die, the crystal oil that precipitates from their corpses becomes so unstable? How could Nangong Yi know this? Chu Tian directly replied, because the body of the crystal-devouring microorganisms secrete a mysterious substance. This substance is called inert substance by scholars. Its effect is to suppress the active energy. It is like freezing boiling water into ice. The composition does not change, but it loses its active nature. Nangong Yi seemed to have thought of something. You mean, that's right. As long as the composition of the inert substance is analyzed, it can be refined. Chu Tian picked up the refining bottle. Therefore, I did not control the crystal oil, but only sealed it. It has already become a safe product. Even if it is stored on a large scale, there will not be any danger. To prove himself, Chu Tian poured the rest of the liquid into the furnace. When the blue and white liquid came into contact with the flame, there was not the slightest reaction. It was as if it had completely turned into a different substance. Everyone was thinking about how to use the energy of the crystal oil. Chu Tian did the opposite and suppressed the energy of the crystal oil. When the crystal oil was poured into the furnace, there was not the slightest bit of abnormality. It did not evaporate, nor did it explode. It was really incredible. Nangong Yi still did not understand. After the crystal oil is completely inert, no matter how it is heated, shaken, or added reagents, the crystal oil will not have any reaction. Then how can the energy of the crystal oil be developed? Chu Tian mysteriously smiled. I am still researching it. Maybe in a few days I will be able to figure it out. The answer to this question was actually very simple. However, Chu Tian would not reveal it for the time being. Once the continent grasped this technology, civilization would advance by leaps and bounds. Chu Tian's purpose in putting on such a show was very simple. It was to make the mayor feel at ease. This dangerous thing was contraband. With the support of Chu Tian's technology, the crude oil extracted by miracle commerce would be refined and filled with barrels of it in the warehouse. There would not be any accidents and safety could be ensured. Nangong Yi fiercely wiped the sweat off his forehead. If he stayed with Chu Tian for too long, he would definitely suffer from a heart attack. Chu Tian did not seem to know how to develop the crystal oil. He only knew how to control and stabilize the crystal oil. This kind of method was enough to cause a huge sensation. Nangong Yi finally understood why Chu Tian wanted an oil mine. Nangong Yi had an idea. What if this kid invented a method to extract the energy of the crystal oil? Wouldn't the value of the crystal oil skyrocket by dozens of times? Damn, if I knew earlier, it would not be so easy for him to get an oil mine. The mayor secretly pondered. He prepared to take out a sum of money from his private treasury and secretly buy a few oil mines to try his luck. Maybe in a few years, he would make a fortune. The crazy idea of investing in an oil mine. A normal person would not be able to think of it. 10 minutes ago, the mayor also thought that an oil mine was a waste resource that no one wanted. In such a short period of time, there was such a big change in opinion. It was all because of this youth. After all, this was a guy who repeatedly created miracles. Nan Gongyi said with a heartfelt sigh, "Your level of erudition leaves this mayor in the dust." Was there even a need to say it? In my eyes, what difference is there between you and a primitive? In the future, even a 3-year-old child would be more knowledgeable than you. Chu Tian put the 5 crystal tubes in place. Sir Mayor, I need to go back and do some simple tests. I will take my leave first. Nan Gongyi had no way to put on the airs of the mayor in front of the mysterious Chu Tian. He could only say, "I will send an escort team to escort you back." "Many thanks, Sir Mayor." Chu Tian walked 2 steps before suddenly thinking of something. He stopped and turned around to say to the mayor, "In 2 days, Miracle Food and Beverages' first hotel will open. I hope that Sir Mayor can come and support us at that time. Your daughter has a share in this." A hotel opening and he wanted the mayor to support it? This kind of request was a bit excessive. Nan Gongyi helplessly agreed. Even if he didn't consider his relationship with Chu Tian, with his daughter's temper, if he didn't go, she would tear down the mayor's palace. Nan Gongyi personally sent Chu Tian out. He also sent 100 elite team to escort Chu Tian the entire way. Today, Nan Gongyi personally saw Chu Tian not only for the resource fields, but also to test Chu Tian. Finally, he also wanted to discuss the matter of letting him invest in miracle commerce. Chu Tian's performance far surpassed Nan Gongyi's imagination. This made Nan Gong even more determined to protect him. Although he might have to pay a price for offending the Ye family, it was worth it to rope in Chu Tian. Nan Gongyi didn't even mention the matter of investing in miracle commerce because Chu Tian would never agree. Since it was like this, why destroy their relationship? Nan Gongyun had already joined Miracle Commerce and became one of the executives. Chapter 44. Evening. Meng Qingwu came back with a tired face. "Is the president back?" "The president came back a long time ago." "What is he doing?" "He locked himself in his room after coming back from the mayor's mansion. It's been half a day, we don't know what he's doing." What kind of mysterious things was this guy up to? Meng Qingwu went directly to Chu Tian's room and knocked on the door. The wooden door opened and half a head popped out. "Ah, eldest miss?" The eldest young miss wore a white dress that was like a veil as she walked out, and she seemed as if she was within the mist. Besides her black hair, her entire body was pure white like snow, and her appearance was exquisite and otherworldly, causing her to have an otherworldly and dreamlike feeling. Beautiful. The beauty of the eldest young miss simply had no blind spots. No matter when or where, she would always give people a breathtaking feeling. Chu Tian grabbed the eldest miss' hand. "I was just about to go find you. Let's talk in the room." Meng Qingwu was pulled into the room by this guy in front of the guards. Her face became hot and she glared at him. "Can you pay attention to your image? You don't want your face, but I do." Sorry. Isn't this because I'm happy?" Meng Qingwu's face was full of resentment. "We're about to die from exhaustion. It's fine if you don't come to help, but what is there to be happy about?" "All right, how did your discussion with the mayor go?" Chu Tian poured a cup of tea for the eldest miss. "I considered the actual situation of miracle commerce, so I did him a favor and transferred all the resources to the mayor's mansion." Meng Qingwu was not surprised. "We are in need of money. The transfer fee from the mayor should be quite a lot, right?" "No, not even a single copper coin." "What? Not even a single copper coin?" Meng Qingwu was speechless. The mayor could not bully people like this, right? Chu Tian laughed. "Because I used these resources to exchange with the mayor for the permanent development rights of a crystal oil mine." "Crystal oil mine?" Meng Qingwu almost vomited blood. What kind of brain circuit does this guy have? Meng Qingwu realized that if she stayed with him, she would get a heart attack sooner or later. "Young miss, don't be so angry. Please look at me." Chu Tian's pitch-black eyes were like the stars in the night sky. His gaze was extremely penetrating, as if he could see through people. Meng Qingwu's heart skipped a beat and she hurriedly looked away. Sneaky eyes, why are you looking at me? Such an unparalleled handsome face was actually described as a shifty-eyed face? Women were indeed creatures that liked to speak in reverse. I mean, do I look like someone who would suffer a loss? What do you mean? As if performing a magic trick, Chu Tian took out a crystal tube from his pocket. Miskatch. The crystal tube had a cylindrical shape and was sealed with a glowing liquid. Could it be crystal oil? Meng Qingwu trembled in fright. The crystal tube directly fell to the ground and bounced a few centimeters high. Not good. Something big was going to happen. Her beautiful cheeks turned white from fright. Chu Tian picked it up and placed it in Meng Qingwu's hands. Don't be afraid. Crude oil is indeed an unstable substance, but after special processing, crystal oil has become extremely stable. Really? Meng Qingwu patted her chest and almost had a heart attack from fright. She suspiciously looked at the crystal tube. The blue and white viscous substance emitted a faint glow, making her cheeks look even more beautiful. Normal crystal oil is pure white. This is indeed a bit different. Chu Tian said in high spirits, "It's not just different, take a closer look." Meng Qingwu found that the top of the crystal tube was sealed with a thin piece of copper. This copper piece was engraved with a few symbols and lines. At first glance, it looked like a pattern, but in reality, it was a source energy array. Chu Tian laughed. This is an energy output array. It has been modified into a level 1 source energy battery. Come, let me show you. Chu Tian took out a pear-shaped light bulb and attached the source energy battery to the bottom of the light bulb. An incredible scene appeared. The source energy array inside the light bulb blossomed with light. Chu Tian did not use any spirit energy. The light bulb was activated. Meng Qingwu seemed to realize something incredible. Could it be? The source energy battery can be used to power the source energy array and replace people in activating the light bulb? Correct. Heavens! Meng Qingwu's breathing became rapid and her chest heaved up and down. She hurriedly asked, "How much energy is stored inside?" Chu Tian replied, "If an entire bustling street is filled with electric lights, it should be enough to supply energy for a year." Powerful. Too powerful. Simply incredible. Meng Qingwu suspected that she was dreaming. This crystal tube had a capacity of 100 milliliters and crystal oil was only a few dozen milliliters. Could it supply a bustling street with electricity for an entire year? What kind of cheap material was crystal oil? The price of this energy was just too cheap. If Miracle Commerce had this cheap energy, then wouldn't it be able to develop by leaps and bounds? The source energy battery could turn waste into treasure, turning something rotten into something magical. It could even be used in a series of products. Its significance and value was hard to estimate. It could even be said that this was an epic-making invention. Chu Tian was very satisfied with the young Miss reaction. Since the mayor is guarding this treasure mountain and doesn't know how to use it, then let us help him develop it. The scale of this oil mine is not small. It is enough for us to take the lead. I plan to build a battery factory and turn South Sky City into an energy production base. Crystal oil energy was a kind of biological energy, so it was different from normal crystal stones. It could directly release a kind of energy similar to source energy and could be used to operate source energy arrays. All of the continent's technology was based on source energy arrays. The source energy battery was like a master key that could unlock all technology. Without this key, no matter how many things Chu Tian invented, it would be impossible to popularize them. Energy was the foundation of everything. Even waste could be turned into treasure. This invention had the power to change the continent's civilization. Was there anything in this world that Chu Tian couldn't do? The source energy battery was actually a low-end energy source. Chu Tian didn't know how many years it had been since he eliminated it, but for the modern civilization, it was definitely a milestone. Too advanced an invention, too advanced technology, could the current level of infrastructure and production be achieved? Don't joke around. An era where crystal oil was like gutter oil was like a primitive man who had just discovered fire. Did you expect them to develop magic crystal cannons? There was no doubt. Chu Tian had once again given Meng Qingwu a big surprise. Chu Tian had once again given Miracle Commerce a big gift. Even if Miracle Commerce didn't do anything, as long as they spread the technology and waited for the oil mine to appreciate, they would be able to make a fortune, surpassing any company in South Sky City. But what did an oil mine count for? Miracle Commerce wanted more benefits. The source energy battery was different from the electric lamp. This could become the capital to move unhindered across the world in the future. It didn't matter if other things were leaked, but the source energy battery production technology must be kept a secret. Meng Qingwu quickly gave a suggestion. The time to build a battery factory is not yet right. You must protect the battery production technology. You must not let it leak out. Chu Tian was surprised. Why? Think about it, people still haven't realized the value of crystal oil, so it is very connected. But once they realize, in less than a year or two, all the oil mines will be occupied by the major powers. Losing the initiative is a small matter, but once the source energy batteries are madly produced. With our pitiful productivity, we, Miracle Commerce, will not be able to take any advantage. This great invention will ultimately become a wedding dress for others. The modern era did not have copyright awareness, so there was no such thing as a patent. In the competition between merchant families, there was no such thing as piracy and genuine products. The fist was the reason. When others stole your technology and made a lot of money, who would you go to reason with? Could it be that you had to call out to the people to protect genuine products, respect intellectual property, not buy pirated products, and establish core values? It would be strange if people didn't think you were crazy and beat you to death. Chu Tian carefully thought about it. He was indeed eager for quick success. Meng Qingwu pondered for a few seconds before saying, "We can't start mass production of the source energy batteries for now, but we can first buy large amounts of raw materials and secretly refine a batch of crystal oil, storing it in preparation. Once we have enough funds, we can buy other oil mines. Once the production equipment and manpower are up to standard, we can start mass production of the batteries." Miracle Commerce has the young miss at the helm. It really is like adding wings to a tiger. Meng Qingwu's cheeks turned slightly red. She avoided this topic and said, "Stop being so glib and worry about yourself. After the summit, the Ye family hasn't made a move, so I feel a little uneasy." Chu Tian shrugged. The general's house and the mayor's house are both on our side. If Yi Xiong wants to make a move on me, how could it be that easy? Even if that's the case, we still can't be careless. The young miss took out a few thick pieces of paper and handed them to Chu Tian. "I've prepared something for you. Take a look first." "What is this?" "I've compiled all the drugs that have been circulating in the city recently. Take a look and see if there are any that you can use. Also, I've found a way to get a ticket to the black market through my connections." What is the black market? The black market is a very special market. It's very chaotic and dangerous, but it's said that treasures often appear. If there is no other way, then we'll take the risk and try our luck. The young miss looked cold on the surface, but her heart was actually very warm. She usually didn't care about anything, but in fact, she was even more anxious than Chu Tian, afraid that she would miss out on some useful herbs. Chu Tian was quite touched. "How much money do we have left?" Meng Qingwu suddenly felt a little embarrassed. "I've been spending a lot of money recently, so the company really doesn't have any spare money. But we can borrow some from Xiong Tianyan and Master Zhang. Rare elixirs cost at least 1,000 gold coins, and some even cost several thousand gold coins. And this was only a level 1 elixir. This was only the expenses of a body refinement cultivator. After reaching the awakened soul realm, the consumption of elixirs would increase by more than 10 times. If one practiced a special cultivation technique, they would need special materials, and the expenses would increase even more. Most of the experts relied on money to become strong. Which disciple of a large family didn't spend a lot of money on them? It was very hard for a poor disciple to stand out. Those without talent would only be like this for a lifetime. As for those with talent, they would still have to rely on others, or even sell themselves to a large family to increase their strength, in order to obtain more resources. Of course, There were a few people with monstrous talent and monstrous luck. They would encounter many fortuitous encounters and eventually become a peak expert. But this kind of person was hard to find in a million. Chu Tian was anxious to establish his own company and influence. Wasn't it so that he could easily occupy more resources and pave the way for the future? He couldn't let down the young Mrs. Intentions. Chu Tian quickly looked over the list. The two eras were separated by tens of thousands of years. The names of the herbs were not the same, but the value of the materials could be seen. True elixirs needed thousands of years to grow, so they contained a large amount of spirit energy, which could directly increase one's cultivation. This kind of heaven and earth treasure was very expensive. As for the commonly used herbs, they grew quickly and could be artificially cultivated. They were mainly used to refine recovery, treatment, detoxification, and other fast-consuming medicines. So their price was not even a tenth of the former. The herbs on this list were generally worth a dozen silver coins to a dozen gold coins. Such cheap materials, how could there be a real treasure? There was no other way. South Sky City and even the entire kingdom was remote, the spiritual energy was thin, and the resources were barren. Heaven and earth treasures were really rare. While Chu Tian was feeling disappointed, he suddenly exclaimed in surprise. What's with this meteor grass? Meng Qingwu glanced at the herb Chu Tian pointed out. Meteor grass is a very common material, but its habits are very strange. It only grows in a basin 200 miles south. It can't be found anywhere else. It is said that this basin was created by an ancient meteorite, so people call this material meteor grass. Chu Tian's eyes became brighter and brighter. How effective is it? Didn't this fellow know everything? How could he have never seen meteor grass before? It had to be known that the production of meteor grass in South Sky City was very high, so it should be considered a common material. Meteor grass can be refined into a medicine to treat bone injuries. For example, if it was a bone fracture caused by an external force, it would normally take more than 10 days to recover. But if you use this medicine, you would be able to recover overnight. Of course, it is mainly for people under the awakened soul realm. Awakened soul realm cultivators have very strong bones and meridians, so they are not easily damaged. But once they are damaged, it is very difficult to recover. Chu Tian suddenly revealed an excited expression. Ha ha, what meteor grass? This is clearly meteorite grass. Our luck is really not bad. This thing is very useful to us. Chapter 45. Meteor grass was indeed meteorite grass. Meteorite grass, as the name implied, was a special kind of meteorite that fell to the earth. The material from the sky soaked into the soil, giving birth to a magical herb. This kind of material was not an elixir, but its value was very shocking. Only the direct descendants of the nobles would not hesitate to buy meteorite grass. In this era, it was treated as a specialized medicine for bone injuries. This was simply a waste of a heavenly treasure. This was clearly a great bargain like the oil mine. It wasn't that Chu Tian was too lucky, it was that this era was too stupid. Chu Tian didn't even think before saying, I'm prepared to buy large amounts of meteor grass in the long run. Let's talk about it after 10,000. 10,000? Meng Qingwu was shocked. Although meteor grass was not an elixir, it was still worth 10 gold coins. You want to buy all of the meteor grass in South Sky City? Meteorite grass is not used like this. It needs to be used in large amounts to show its true value. 10,000 is considered a small amount. It's only enough for us to use for a few days. To be honest, I'm planning on buying the entire basin. Buying the entire basin? Although meteor grass was not an elixir or treasure, it was still a very good medicine. Medicine made from meteor grass was sold very well on the market and the demand was very high. The meteor grass basin was controlled by a large family. If he wanted to buy the entire basin, how much money would he have to spend? Meng Qingwu finally couldn't help but ask, what is the use of meteor grass? Is it worth your attention? Chu Tian didn't answer and looked her up and down. Meng Qingwu felt a pair of eyes sweep over her body and her cheeks couldn't help turning slightly red. She rebuked him in a rebuking tone, I'm asking you a question. What are you looking at me for? Does the young miss have a chronic illness? How do you know? Did Ying tell you? I can see it. Chu Tian said with a faint smile, your meridians were innately injured, so you were born with a chronic illness. Every night you feel unbearable pain, and when you use spirit energy, the pain is even more intense. Am I right? Chu Tian even knew this? Could it be that this fellow knew how to calculate? Even his younger sister didn't know about this. When her mother was pregnant, she was ambushed by her enemies and was seriously injured. Although she miraculously survived and gave birth to Meng Qingwu 2 months later, Meng Qingwu's meridians were damaged. Although she wasn't a cripple, it brought many inconveniences. Meng Qingwu couldn't make a move easily. Once she used her origin power to fight with others, her meridians would be stimulated and she would be bitten by hundreds of ants. The pain would be unbearable. This was a congenital deficiency, so there was no cure. Chu Tian confidently said, there are many ways to treat it. Meteor grass can reconstruct the muscles and bones, and that is one of them. Really? How could this congenital deficiency be cured? This problem had brought him too much trouble and pain. Over the past 20 years, it had gradually become a habit, but he had never dared to hope that it could be cured. Chu Tian still had a smile on his face. If you don't believe me, then let's make a bet. If I can cure you with meteor grass, then you have to kiss me. If I can't do it, then I'll kiss you. No one loses out, what do you think? Meng Qingwu stared at him. If you keep talking nonsense, I'll really get angry. This young miss, her face was too thin and she was so fierce, he couldn't joke around with her. Chu Tian quickly put away his playful appearance. Calm down, but I have to buy the meteor grass. Meng Qingwu said in a worried voice. 10,000 would require at least 100,000 gold coins. The company is very tight on money right now, so I'm afraid we won't be able to take it out in a short amount of time. Ying and I aren't worried. It's fine as long as it's enough for you to use. What are you afraid of? Isn't the restaurant about to open? Even if that's the case, but... Don't say any more. Chu Tian was filled with confidence in miracle dining. I have a premonition that our first pot of gold is about to fall into our hands. I don't like to drag things out, so the 10,000 must be delivered as soon as possible. I need to use it immediately. All right, 10,000 is 10,000. Who told you to be the chairman? 10,000 meteor grass was a large burden on the company, but she didn't doubt Chu Tian's words at all. If they didn't have enough money, they could still ask Xiong Tianyan to borrow some. Lacking money. Lacking money. The most important thing now was to let the Miracle Dining Company officially start operations. As an important brand under the Miracle Group, the Miracle Dining Company naturally received a lot of attention. But the person in charge of the company was Meng Ying and Nan Gongyun, which caused a huge uproar in South Sky City. One was a witch with explosive destructive power. The other was a cute and silly girl. These two beauties were quite famous in the city, but they weren't serious people. Letting them be in charge of such an important company, wasn't this just messing around? When the news was released, ridicule, doubt, sarcasm, and all kinds of rumors quickly spread throughout the city. Looking down on people. Under the anger of Meng Ying and Nan Gongyun, Meng Ying and Nan Gongyun clenched their teeth and pushed forward. Those who looked down on them, when the time came, their eyes would pop out. For the opening of the restaurant, the two were busy from day to night. They spent almost 24 hours in the restaurant without any time to rest. They put all their effort into decorating, planning, and advertising, taking care of almost everything. Meng Qingwu also wanted to train her little sister, so she was responsible for supporting them from behind. If they needed people, they needed things, and if they needed money, they needed money. Unless there was a big mistake, she wouldn't stand in front of the stage to personally command them. Chu Tian, this hands-off shopkeeper, didn't know anything. He just felt strange that he hadn't seen Meng Ying for 2 days. Until the day before the opening, Meng Ying called Chu Tian over to do a final technical inspection before the opening. This was a prime location in the center of South Sky City. A 4-story high restaurant was located near the intersection. The location was very convenient. The restaurant was tall and large, and the decorations were very exquisite. There was a large golden sign that had a few words written on it. It could be clearly seen from several hundred meters away, Yingying Hot Pot City. Chu Tian was happy seeing this. This name is a little interesting. Meng Yingying's little face turned red. Elder sister said that the Miracle Restaurants are divided into low, middle, and high grade. This is a low-grade restaurant, catering to ordinary cultivators and mercenaries. Therefore, it is cheap and convenient to attract customers in the form of hot pot. Chu Tian didn't understand this at all, so he curiously asked, then what are the middle-grade and high-grade restaurants called? The middle-grade restaurant is named Cloud Realm after elder sister Nangong. It is mainly a large buffet restaurant. Finally, the Miracle Grand Hotel is a high-grade restaurant. It has expensive and luxurious high-grade dishes that attract the upper class. The hot pot restaurant was cheap and lively, the buffet restaurant was convenient and fast, and the high-grade hotel was high-grade. The three restaurants corresponded to different classes of customers. Chu Tian wasn't good at doing business, but it was fine as long as he had the young miss. Yingying Hot Pot City had a total of 4 floors. It was a large restaurant that Southern Cloud Commerce spent tens of thousands of gold coins to buy. Each floor had over 100 tables and several private rooms. It could hold a total of 800 to 900 people. After 10 days of modification, each table had a source energy pot. The source energy pot was embedded in the table and couldn't be taken away. This was to ensure that the source energy pot wouldn't be lost. Everyone was nervously preparing. 6-7 workers were building a platform in front of the Hot Pot City. The waiters of the Hot Pot City were 80 employees that Southern Cloud Commerce had transferred over. They were busy cleaning the floor, arranging potted plants, and hanging decorations. There were more than 10 chefs in the kitchen, processing fresh ingredients like pork, mutton, beef, venison, and so on. Of course, they were all low-level demon beast meat. The base of the hot pot also took a lot of effort. They were all dead demon beast meat and herbs that had been boiled in advance. Chu Tian's job was to check the source energy pots. He wanted to make sure that the source energy pots could be used normally when they opened. Otherwise, if there was a problem on the first day, it wouldn't be good. I've checked everything, there are no problems. You can rest assured. Nangong Yun and Meng Yingying let out a sigh of relief. They went back and held an emergency meeting, making a prediction for tomorrow's unexpected situation. Although they had only prepared for 10 days, looking at the current situation, it was already very thorough. There shouldn't be any internal accidents. The only thing they needed to guard against was the interference of hostile forces. However, tomorrow, Nangong Yi, Xiong Bing, and the others would all be present. Even if Yi Xiong wanted to retaliate against Chu Tian, it wouldn't be easy to do so in this situation. Meng Yingying was looking forward to it, but she was also nervous. Do you think we can do it tomorrow? What if there's a problem? Nangong Yun slapped the table and angrily spat. Don't jinx it, we've been working hard these past few days. Our brains have been squeezed dry, how could there still be an accident? That was what she said. But everyone could see that Nangong Yun was more nervous than anyone else. Meng Qingwu understood their feelings, who didn't have a first time. She smiled and comforted them. We've already done what we needed to do, so don't let your imagination run wild. You haven't had a good rest these past few days, so you should have a good night's sleep to prepare for tomorrow's opening. This was an advertisement that had been placed at the summit. Just the new source energy cooking gimmick was enough to attract countless people. Not to mention the mayor, the generals, the Symbol Masters Association chairman, etc., this large group of people had all returned. Didn't they understand the effect of a celebrity? Naturally, there would be many people coming with these important people. The celebrity effect, the summit hype, the source energy restaurant gimmick. With this combination, it would be hard for this restaurant not to become popular. They didn't know what to worry about. Chu Tian wanted to say a few words of encouragement, but who knew that he wouldn't be able to open his mouth? The door was knocked open. A guard tumbled into the room. Chairman, something bad has happened. 2 people are fighting on the street. Not only did they damage the restaurant, our staff went to stop them, but they were also injured. The situation is very bad right now, I'm afraid it's not good. Please go take a look. Everyone heard this. They were all shocked. Damn, which bastard was it that dared to cause trouble at such a critical time? Why did they have to fight on the street? Why did they have to fight on this street? Why did they have to fight on this street? Why did they have to fight on this street? Why did they have to fight on this street? This street was so long. What was even more hateful was destroying the restaurant on the day before the opening. Wasn't this clearly looking for trouble? Nangong Yun angrily jumped up. Bastard, who dares to cause trouble at this time? This old lady wants their lives. Chapter 46. Two young men, one holding a saber and the other a sword, stood facing each other in front of the Hot Pot City's entrance. The two of them were handsome and had extraordinary looks. One look and you could tell that they were outstanding people. Third brother's three-gale sword. Its power is like a gale. It's exquisite. I can see defeat. Haha, ninth brother, don't underestimate yourself. Your burning flame saber technique is becoming more and more powerful. I almost couldn't block it. I've recently practiced a new reverse wave saber technique. I've never tried it on anyone before. I don't know how powerful it is. Ha ha, what a coincidence. This brother is also hiding something. Let's go again. The two of them talked loudly, treating the people around them like air. The onlookers were filled with awe. Although these two young men were new faces and they had never heard of them in South Sky City, from the competition just now, the two of them had high cultivation bases and strong martial skills. They were not inferior to the top geniuses of South Sky City. At this time, an angry roar came from the distance. Bastard! A ball of fire descended from the sky and heavily smashed into the ground. The scorching energy spread out and instantly smashed two large pits in the ground. Nangong Yun's body was covered in flames and she slowly stood up. Her body was surrounded by flames and her long red hair danced in the wind. She was like an angry goddess and the fire phoenix source spirit was faintly discernible, making it hard for people to look straight at her. Such a strong aura. Such a terrifying aura. The onlookers quickly retreated in fear. The sword-holding youth revealed a trace of fear. Fire Phoenix's power? Your South Sky City's famous super genius Nangong Yun. Yingying Hot Pot City's exterior was seriously damaged. Tomorrow's ribbon-cutting platform had completely collapsed and the restaurant's sign had been cut off. There were several injured employees and guards lying on the ground moaning in pain. The ground was also a mess. Fortunately, the damage was only to the exterior. There shouldn't be any internal damage. Even so, this still brought a lot of trouble to Miracle Commerce. Nangong Yun was so angry that she almost lost her mind. Why did you do this? The two youths looked at each other and their eyes flashed a trace of mischief. They replied with a smile, it was fun. Fun? Fun. These bastards causing trouble on the eve of the grand opening was just for fun? This beautiful lady, why are you so angry? The blade-wielding youth laughed and waved his hand, saying, we just broke a few things and injured a few servants along the way. How much money do you want? We'll pay for it. We'll pay double. Compensate? Can you afford it? Nangong Yun angrily roared, I want your lives. Watch my palm. Nangong wait. Chu Tian, Meng Qingwu, and Meng Yingying walked out from the crowd. When Meng Yingying saw that the Hot Pot City was damaged, sparkling tears immediately welled up in her eyes. For more than 10 days, Meng Yingying had devoted herself to the restaurant. Every decoration and even every ornament was the result of Meng Yingying's painstaking efforts. Who would have thought that after leaving for a short while, he would be in such a state? How could she not be sad? How could she not feel heartache? Meng Yingying gritted her teeth in anger. Her little sister's painstaking efforts being wasted like this, Meng Qingwu also felt indignant. However, she forcefully suppressed her anger and calmly asked, who are you people? We haven't offended you. Meng Qingwu was naturally cautious. She didn't dare act rashly before clearly understanding the other party. What if it was a trap? The blade-wielding youth didn't even look at her and clearly said, who we are, a small character like you doesn't have the qualifications to know. If you know what's good for you, then quickly scram. Don't disturb my fun. The blade-wielding youth wildly laughed. Ha ha, third brother, you're really cold-hearted? Such a beauty that can cause the downfall of a country came to strike up a conversation with you. How could you not say anything? Beauty, if you come over and kiss me, I'll tell you who we are. The blade-wielding youth carefully sized up Meng Qinggu. Oh, I didn't think that a small place like Tiannan City could actually produce several outstanding beauties. What's the point of staying in a small place like this? Why don't you come with me to Zhong State? I'll guarantee that you'll live the life of a noble lady. The blade-wielding youth wretchedly smiled. A noble lady in the day and a slut in the night. Don't forget to take care of my little brother. These two people were really too arrogant. Publicly insulting Meng Qingwu in front of everyone. Even Yi Han couldn't be worse. However, a person couldn't be so arrogant and despotic for no reason. These two people's backgrounds were definitely not simple. These two people should have come from Zhong State. Only people from Zhong State main city would have this kind of superiority. Moreover, this was probably their first time coming to Tiannan City, otherwise it would be impossible for them not to recognize Meng Qingwu. This was really strange. Why would they make life difficult for miracle commerce the first time they came to Tiannan City? Nangong Yun couldn't bear it anymore. Sister Qingwu, they're going too far. For trash like them, I can kill them in one move. Nangong Yun, we know you and we also know that you're strong. Today's matter has nothing to do with you, you better not meddle in other people's business. The blade-wielding youth didn't seem to know the relationship between Nangong Yun and Hot Pot City. Instead, he loudly said, if you don't want to cause trouble for Nangong Yi, then obediently get out of my way. That's right. The blade-wielding youth also loudly shouted, Chu Tian, I didn't think you would fall to this point, relying on a few women to live off of you. If you're a man, then don't hide behind a woman, come out. The three women revealed a surprised expression. These two people knew Chu Tian? Their target was also Chu Tian? But if it wasn't the Ye family or the Du family, then could it be Chu Tian's old enemies? The blade-wielding youth coldly smiled and said, I'll count to 3. If you don't obediently roll out and kneel in front of us to apologize, then we'll burn down your shop. Sure enough, they were old enemies. Chu Tian scratched his head, but there were some things that didn't need to be understood, so he walked out without any hesitation. The blade-wielding youth snorted and said, Did you not understand our words? Kneel down. Chu Tian smiled and said, You two seem to like to compete, how about we have a spar? A trace of surprise flashed in the two youths' eyes, and they simultaneously laughed as if they had heard the funniest joke in the world. You trash, you actually want to challenge us? Ridiculous. This is too ridiculous. Chu Tian's lips curled into a cold smile. Do you want to come one by one or all at once? There couldn't be a mistake, right? Was this really Chu Tian? This was the cowardly and timid fellow from back then? This was the fellow that bullied them back then, and didn't even dare to fart? This person stood here, and although his appearance was the same, his temperament was completely different. The blade-wielding youth felt insulted, and couldn't help but fly into a rage out of humiliation and said, Ninth brother, this bastard dares to not kneel in front of us, and even dares to shamelessly challenge us. This is simply going against the heavens. Do you know what to do? I understand, I'll go cripple him, so he'll remember. The blade-wielding youth sneered as he walked over. You want to pretend you don't know us? Is that possible? A bastard will always be a bastard. Even if you hide to the ends of the earth, you won't be able to change it. Watch my blade. The blade-wielding youth roared, and his long blade burst forth with a white blade aura, like a rainbow piercing through the sun. It tore through the air with an ear-piercing screech, as if it wanted to tear space apart, and fiercely chopped towards Chu Tian's knees. I'll first break your legs. Nangong Yun clenched her fist. Meng Qingwu stopped her. He can handle it. The blade-wielding youth's strength was only at the 7th body refinement layer. This kind of strength was similar to Luo Yu at the summit. From this, it could be seen that the blade-wielding youth was not from Tiannan City, or else if he knew that Chu Tian had defeated Luo Yu in one move, he would not have dared to be so careless. Chu Tian's lips curled into a cold smile, and with a low roar, he pointed with his right hand, Scram. Dang! His finger, without any deviation, landed on the blade. Like a clap of thunder, the white blade aura directly shattered. The blade-wielding youth retreated, staggered 6 or 7 steps, and finally steadied his body. He saw that in the center of the long blade that was forged from 100-tempered steel, there was actually a hole the size of a finger. Casually breaking the blade aura with a finger, even leaving a hole in the fine steel blade. What kind of strength was this? Cripple me? With just you? Chu Tian casually waved his finger again. The strong aura turned into invisible finger chi, and once again heavily struck the blade. This 100-tempered steel blade directly broke, and the finger chi directly shot into the youth's chest, directly severing several meridians. Pooh! The youth spat out a mouthful of blood, and shouted in fear, "Ah, stop!" Chu Tian's 10 fingers all turned pale gold, shooting out several finger chi in the air, instantly passing through his body, simultaneously severing several of the most important meridians. The youth was continuously pierced by the finger chi, and with a pitiful cry, he fell down, feeling that all of his meridians were damaged, and he could not use spirit energy. His face instantly turned ashen, and he shouted in fear, "Wait, I admit defeat, I don't want to fight anymore." Admit defeat? Do you really think that I, your father, am a spineless coward? Chu Tian seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. These two fellows came to cause trouble the day before the restaurant's grand opening. Not only did they cause great trouble for Miracle Commerce, they even wanted to cripple Chu Tian on the spot. Now that they could not win, they could just admit defeat? So, another finger chi shot out. The last main meridian was shattered. The blade-wielding youth shouted in despair, "No." The sword-wielding youth could no longer remain calm. "You dare injure my 9th brother." A long sword flew through the air, and a pale green sword chi whistled out. Chu Tian disdainfully dispersed the sword chi with one palm. "You are only SOSO." His 2 legs lightly jumped, and like a gust of wind, he suddenly attacked. Not good. The sword-wielding youth stabilized his body in midair, and hurriedly released 4 or 5 sword chi, weaving into a beautiful sword net, attempting to block Chu Tian's powerful attack. Can't even withstand a single blow. Chu Tian's powerful palm ignored the defense, and instantly penetrated the sword net, and heavily landed on the sword-wielding youth's abdomen, directly shattering his danton. The sword-wielding youth screamed, and like a meteor, he flew out, and heavily fell to the ground, and his sword also fell to the side. Chu Tian's eyes flashed with a hint of ridicule, a 7th body refinement layer, and a peak 7th body refinement layer. With just this little bit of strength, you dare to be arrogant in front of me? With just this little bit of strength, you dare to go against Miracle Commerce? The onlookers revealed a look of horror. The Tiannan City Summit had only been 2 days. Chu Tian's strength seemed to have increased by a large amount. The joint attack of 2 experts at the 7th level of body refinement was easily defeated by him, and from the looks of it, they had already been completely crippled. Nangong Yun's face revealed a look of shock. This little brat is too abnormal. If this continues, his cultivation will surpass me. It is just a matter of time. How did he improve so quickly? Next time there is a chance, I must force him to tell me his secret. How is this possible? You really are Chu Tian? The 2 youths looked at him with a face full of horror. The Chu Tian that did not have any cultivation, and was like a waste, when did he become so strong? The Chu Tian that could be trampled on at any time, and was treated as a plaything, now he was treating them as playthings? What a big contrast. It was simply impossible to accept. Third brother, no, my meridians are all broken. My magic power is also scattered. Chu Tian, you are so ruthless. The 2 of them never thought that they would end up like this. They were originally talented people, but because of such a small matter, they were finally reduced to a waste, unable to cultivate anymore. Regret, fear, resentment, all at the same time. Chu Tian was simply a demon. Ruthless? Chu Tian revealed a trace of playfulness. When you wanted to waste me, why didn't you think it was ruthless? Messing with my company, you should be prepared. I didn't kill you, that is already merciful. bold, unfilial son. A deep voice came from a nearby tea house. A teacup shot out from the window of a private room and spun at high speed towards Chu Tian. There was still an expert. Chu Tian's iron fist smashed down, a crisp cracking sound, and the teacup immediately broke into pieces. Chu Tian was also forced back a small step. Judging from this strength, this person's strength was probably at the peak of the 8th body refinement layer. Nangong Yun coldly snorted, "What scoundrel? Come out for me." You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.